Oh, there I am.
There you go.
We got to figure it out now. The StreamYard link is at the top. Did you get a notification? Huh?
Yep.
StreamYard link is at the top. Crybabies and their ability to dismiss what you say. This is becoming more and more common in the past
But
3
no one
weeks.
can hear you. You're not saying nothing.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
Huh?
Now we'll be able to hear you.
Why?
Because now you're on there.
Right.
On there
I said that a second ago. Can you hear me? If you turn it up?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, TLR? You get the basement worked out, bud? I'm chilling. Day's over with. I'm now sitting in my. Hey, Redbone, what's up, dude? You can join in if you want. You can go up and TLR. You can join in too. Anybody wants to join in? I found like we can talk about whatever you want. I don't care what we talk about. I want people to come on here and have conversations. Be respectful. I don't care how you see whatever. Just be respectful to each other, and don't dismiss people. So don't use the crybaby. You're a felon, or you're a crybaby. You're stupid, or any of that other bullshit, or you don't like people who suck on lollipops. Nothing. If you're now working on my side hustle. What's your side hustle, dude? Let me in, bro. You need an enforcer? Hey, Randall, how you doing? Need to talk about something.
I know.
People like the new thing, and I guess maybe it's just because of what's happened over the past month or so. I've been noticing a lot of people that are just dismissive based on, for me, as an example, it's felon. So you're a felon, so you're dismissive. But now it's you don't like CRS firearms, so what you have to say is being dismissed. Been having name callers. Yeah, well, I mean, no, they don't call me. They don't say like, well, yesterday I did, but other than that, dude, he's a weirdo anyway. Uh, but you can join in the Streamlab thing, man. And come on here and talk about whatever you want. I'm out of shit to talk about because I don't pay attention to the thing and news and shit, news anymore or anything like that. What's up, man? Michael's on here.
Oh, is he?
Yep. Well, how do I do it? Shit, I forgot how to do it. Add to
Michael
stream.
E.
Yeah. There we go. I did it. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How y'all doing up there?
Doing good. First day.
You're really low. I
It's,
can't hear you.
yeah, that's what I was talking about. My new phone. Down.
Yeah, see, like you was loud, and now you just went silent again.
Yeah, I gotta like yell into the camera into the mic.
Did you try to change your sound settings in the settings? Because like my phone, if I hold it a certain way, it will um only use the speaker where the earpiece is at. But then if I hold it in another way, it will use like a surround sound kind of deal.
Okay, what about now?
Nah, you're still sounding funny. If you have a earbud you can plug in, man, it'll probably fix it completely.
I got some cheap dollar store headphones.
You can try it, man. If they have a microphone on them. How's the land? How's the landscape?
I'm gonna check out a place on Tuesday.
Really, where at?
Pretty up north.
Really? She's stuck on wanting to be in the cold, ain't she?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's not a fan of the cold, but she's
Yeah, it's cut. You're cutting it. You're cutting. You cut out all the way down. It's almost like it depends on the way you hold your phone, whether or not we can hear you. So it might have to do with that, like the sound settings on your phone, man. I don't know why my head is just draining. Did you finally quit your job?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you happy about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't like. I feel I don't know. From me, I guess. It's weird. Not
It's really hard to hear you, man. Like you're cutting it out. It's like it's almost robotic in a way.
Okay, I'm gonna leave and try to fix it here.
Oh, my bad, man. I'm sorry.
No,
Try
it's
to
all right.
fix it. Try to fix it in your settings, man. Look in your sound settings and see what you have it set on. And try to change around a little bit.
All right. Yeah, I'll be back.
Mom said you should sell
Right.
Freedom Inc. branded gun cleaning kits.
Freedom Inc. brand gun cleaning kits.
Yes.
Like I mean, we did the Freedom Inc. merch stuff, just like the shirts and stuff, and like all you all bought them.
You're gonna look and see if you can find a place to-
Oh, Chris is. I think it's his phone because I tried to call him earlier, Chris, and we was having problems on his phone. Like when I called him, he couldn't hear me. When he called me back, he could hear me though.
Gonna get on with you?
Yep.
Wasn't doing two others in that FPDS.
I don't know who I was going to get on.
I thought those were the two. That's
So I think Redbone needs to get on here. Let's try that.
He said he wasn't going to be here for a minute. He's got to get up early.
Oh wait, we're having a problem.
Yeah.
Well, Chris was on here.
Yeah, I'm
There it
here.
is. Oh, I see you now. Well, it wasn't letting me add you to the stream. I was hitting the button, and it wasn't letting me add you to the stream. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. How are you?
Spectacular. I'm bullshitting. Life sucks.
If he takes off his echo cancellation,
Yeah.
because he's using like the mic, but then his external speakers, it's competing against each other, I believe.
Right. So, like, did you hear when I said I tried to call him earlier and he couldn't hear me? But then he said he's been having trouble with it when, like, talking to people on the phone. So it's not only just in this; he's having trouble with the phone in general.
Oh, he's on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Must be a rule. Everyone has to have a hat. Because
We all get the same haircut.
Yeah, we're all going bald, man. We're all middle-aged men going bald.
Yeah.
Sorry, you babies.
I didn't realize that was on.
I was just playing. Look at the things.
Yeah, has anybody else noticed that though? That people are being just really dismissive lately about there's no more conversation. It's you think like I do, or you're wrong. Period.
I know.
There's no, they won't even listen to it. They won't even listen to what you have to say. It's like I said, it's like screaming in their face that you want them to be free, and they scream back, "No, I want to be a slave."
I was actually thinking about that earlier. Just like I watched a video on. I watch a lot of science stuff, and Iridium had a video where him and another scientist disagreed on the way a backdraft or a forward draft car works, and they made it like a $10,000 bet, and like at the end of it, the guy's like, "Look, disagreement's good because it all allows us to grow and stuff like that." And I think people just lost sight of what the advantages of disagreement are.
Well, it seems like a lot of people don't understand. Like the First Amendment is there to protect speech that doesn't want to be heard, right? And I believe like all the amendments in the Bill of Rights are there to some degree because they knew over time either government would try to infringe on the people's rights or there would be other people trying to infringe on the rights of the people. So, I mean, I think everybody has the right to say what they want to say, but then people have to also accept that words have consequences. You know, I can call your mama a bitch. You punch me in the mouth, that's consequence of calling your mama. You know, does that make sense? Like, you can't just say whatever you want without consequences to those words. And people believe today that they can because we've been hidden in the illusion of technology. Like we're hidden behind a keyboard. I can say or call you or make any accusation I want about you.
Well, that is some people don't want to hold like responsibility for their actions.
Right, that's what I mean. Like yesterday, a dude called me a bitch, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, my address is 963 Harkin Drive. Come knock on my door." They'll never do that though because they're empowered by hiding behind the keyboard, you know. And I believe that's honestly sped up, some of the issues that we're having. Like I'm a firm believer when I say it, I'm not playing at all. Like the world was a much better place when people were punched in the mouth on a pretty regular basis. And when you can say anything, I don't know, man. I don't really honestly know what I'm trying to say. I can't make sense of it myself, so I don't even know why I'm trying to explain it. If you can say anything you want, and then somebody else says the same thing, and there's no consequences to saying that, just like the little commie dudes in Columbus, they're standing out in society, like openly pushing communism. Like, I'm cool for you wanting to state your position, but when you're openly pushing something that is oppressing me, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like you are now you're either now are or you're trying to violate my rights by pushing me into this form of society or governance that you deem good, which is completely terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a lost cause. So I don't really have much. I don't think it's a lost cause. I think it's a lost cause in our generation.
You think that? I'm sorry.
It's, I guess maybe we're to blame, or the whole, like we don't hold people accountable on their actions enough anymore. People like Tim Pool, Coda, all them, they want to toe that line of what's popular in their belief system just enough to where it creates questions, but to not where it solves anything. Nobody wants to come out and say, "Hey, I'm the general. We need to do this."
Well, I mean, you have problems with that today. Like, you come out saying you're the general, we need to do this today. They're going to arrest you.
Yeah,
they've insulated themselves from that happening.
Nobody's willing to make that sacrifice.
Right. Well, I mean, how much of a sacrifice are you going to be able to make? I mean, I can make a declaration today that, hey, we're going to do this thing. Then they come kick my door in and kill me, and then are you all still going to do that thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the government, right? The government's put many layers of insulation between them and the people at this point. But I actually texted Coda Boy right before I came on here. I'm like, hey man, I'm about to do a StreamYard. You just have to be able to talk. You ain't got to show your face or nothing. Just be able to talk. You can be doing anything and just talk. And he hasn't answered me back. So actually, somebody did text me back. It may have been him. Let me try to look and see if I can look. I can't see who it was. Fighting kids, man. You gotta love those. Do you think it's too far gone? Do you think that at this point, with what's happened over the last year and a half, everything we see going on, do you think that there's even change in people's minds anymore?
I think it's too far gone, and we're too comfortable to where people aren't gonna wanna. We're not at rock bottom yet.
Right.
For the majority of people, and that's usually when change happens. I mean, I have similar backgrounds, and I hit pretty rock bottom before I made a change.
Do you think that it's even possible?
Yeah, it will be. I mean, even if it's fucking sticks and rocks at that point.
Right.
I mean,
hey, excuse me for just a second, Chris and Mike. Yeah. Michael and Chris, have y'all ever met? You guys have talked before for sure. I don't know if y'all have ever seen each other. Actually, this is the first time I've ever seen Chris. Yeah. Nice to meet you, man. Give me just a second, please. I have to go deal with some kids. Hang on 1 second.
I remember we did a live stream like over the winter.
Yeah, I didn't have my camera on then.
Yeah, but it wasn't like on YouTube, I don't think.
But I don't know. I don't think we're in a point where people are willing to sacrifice what they have for what they don't have. Willing to bet on it yet. I think it's going to take a lot more desperation.
Too much distractions aren't. I don't know if you watched Guns Coast to Coast video.
I catch some of his videos, very rarely though. For some reason, it puts him down at the bottom of my list.
He was in here a minute ago.
But yeah, I mean, most men are too busy worrying about sports and memorizing grown men's stats and stuff. They'd rather care about that than actual real issues.
Yeah,
But how do you
go ahead.
I'm sorry. How do you fix it? If you had to say like there's one thing we could do that would fix the majority of problems in this country, what would it be? So I guess what I'm asking is because that one thing would have to lead to like a domino effect. Like this problem fixes this problem because we eliminated this, this happens. So what would that one thing be? And I don't think that anybody really knows, which becomes the problem. And when people have suggestions about this, like it's almost like things have already been put in place to dismiss it. So you talk about abolishing the police, like that's my thing. Let's just abolish the police. I'm immediately deemed a sovereign citizen. And
The only
dismissed.
way I feel like anything happens is money or like economical
Right.
is what will really move anything.
Dollar fails.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then most people don't really have the money to do anything.
Right. I mean, but I wouldn't expect to make that alive. I'm not under the illusion that freedom means I live. I think people are too focused on that also, when you're talking, when even like the general public talks about it. It's like the quote unquote normal person talks about change. It's always about change, and everybody makes it through with a smile on their face. And it's definitely not going to be that way if it was to ever happen.
I think you're kind of asking for the solution before the answer. What can change before, like, are you saying what can change that, will finally make life okay, or what will make change? Like, what do we need to change to make people listen?
Well, I mean, I guess either or. I guess if people would listen, change would probably, happen as a domino effect of that. I don't think you're going to wake people up. I think that if people are not asking questions today, at least asking questions, have at least noticed that there's a problem. I don't think we're changing those people's minds at all.
Here's the thing, dude. Just like, somebody who's hooked on drugs, they're not going to quit just because you tell them to.
Right.
They have to be ready.
Right. I agree with that. Like, if you look at, the last 18 months and everything, just people today are blaming, what's happening on Biden. I look at it as it's just been going on for years. But if you want to look at it in a political standpoint, the Democrat versus Republican, all this, what's going on today is a result of the last 4 or 5 years, which Trump was in office. So how is that a Biden problem? I just don't think that people are going to wake up to it regardless, I think they're too caught up in a lie to get out of it.
The two-party system was the one way to keep us, like, trapped in it.
Right.
I mean, if you can't describe the side you're on, or you don't have representation of a side that you're on, not many people are gonna follow you. You can't sit there and be like, hey, I know there's a problem. I don't know what the problem is, but, or you could say, yeah, the two-party system's a problem, but then people will say, well, what do you propose to fix it? Add more parties? Right.
Well, they'll default to, well, the Libertarian Party, they tried the Libertarian Party, the three-party system, and there wasn't enough people. So because we can't win, and it's not even about people representing you anymore. It's not that Donald Trump was the best person for the job. It was that he wasn't that person. He wasn't Hillary. Like the majority of a lot of people that voted for Trump didn't vote for Trump because they liked him. They voted for Trump because he wasn't Hillary, which makes no sense whatsoever. And like I said, on a long enough timeline, you have the lesser of two evils being as evil as the evil person is today. So that evil person just steps it up a notch, and the less evil follows. They're just as evil as the person was last year, but because they're going against somebody you deem more evil, you vote for the lesser of two evils. I mean, I really believe that we're so caught. The lie is so big at this point that you can't even really convince people about it or talk to them about it. Even like you and I that know that something's really wrong, we know that there's a lot of things that are really wrong. It's hard to even have a conversation about it because where do we even start the conversation? Where do we go with it?
I don't even think if there even was a third party, it would change anything. Uh, a
I
lot
don't
of
either.
a lot of people I know that call themselves libertarians don't really have an idea of what real freedom is. They still just want to back the police. They just think it's about gay marriage and then guns.
And
Right.
smoke weed.
But yeah, it's just kind of a joke. But they'll use it to keep towing the line and push that push the narrative even more.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, dude. They do. And like I said, lately I've been seeing, especially since, they were there for about a week or two. There was a bunch of people that just was making videos about me. I don't know why I was living rent free in their head, but whatever. And since then, it doesn't matter where I leave a comment at. I haven't been commenting too much, but like Rick from Good Luck America's channel used to be called. He was the What's Up Gun People guy. I forget what his channel used to be called. It's now Good Luck America. But I left a comment he made. Just for some reason, I don't even really watch his videos. One of his videos popped up. It was about CRS firearms. I watched it. Somebody commented, and I replied. And like, if you go down through there, there's like 60 something replies, and there's like 4 or 5 replies to me where it's like felon. Like, that's the whole argument against whatever I said, felon. The latest one was somebody said I was mad at Matt because he tried to help me and I failed. It's like people are stupid is what it is, and people take advantage of that. Like, I can say anything, and 99% of people will just believe what I say, even though I'm the type of dude that says don't believe what I say. Go research for yourself, ask yourself the questions, find the information for yourself. But these other people will make videos, and people will just take it as 100% truth because this person said it or somebody said it. And it's totally not true at all. But that falls into what we're dealing with today is people just believe what they've been told. They believe that freedom is getting up and going to work in a 9 to 5 and paying your 20 or 30% to the government because they say you have to, because they can spend your money better than you can. Being in debt your whole life, I don't want to get up and go to work. Like, I enjoy supporting my family. At the same time, I don't want to get up and go to work a job I despise. Like, I want to be able to at least like my work. But a lot of people today don't have the ability to do that. I could probably get away with not having a full-time job just because I put myself in a position where I don't have a bunch of bills. At the same time, I don't have a bunch of nice shit either. But to me, the nice shit's not worth being a slave, because once you have to go to work, you're a slave, period. And then if you don't have to go to work and you do go to work and you're being forced to pay the government, are you still a slave? I would say yes, you are. A lot of people would say you're not, but it goes back to what they've been told, and they just believe whatever they've been told without doing any amount of research for themselves. It's just the way it is. It's your obligation. It's your duty as a citizen to pay your taxes. And get the fuck out of here. It's my money.
I think people are too lazy. That's why they don't look for their answers. They want to be spoon-fed the information.
Right.
And that has to do with the internet. So I was watching this video the other day, and in fact, it was last night, and it was about submarine fiber optic cables. So it was from the first piece of copper that was between like Finland and Newfoundland to how it is now, where there's like hundreds of fiber optics under the sea now. And being in the industry, I know like the way that the internet works and all that, but this guy that was on the show was like, I can't believe we're still using wires. Like, he felt so entitled that he was, I don't know how to say it, like, it was almost like he was disgusted in the way that we transmit information nowadays between countries. And it was just funny because if he would, fully research it, even though he was the one doing the video, he would have learned that it's like the most secure way to do it. Like, fiber optics is the one thing that you can't tap into. The minute you cut it, the minute you bend it too far, I mean, there's like it's the most secure, it's the most efficient, and it's the most cost effective. But just because he didn't like the idea, he dismissed it as being less than.
Like, well, I know back in like I can't say it, World War II, they were listening to international telecommunications through the transatlantic.
That's when it was still copper.
Right. So they can't do that. They can't listen. They can't listen to that through the. How does fiber optic cable work? I don't know.
With the light.
Like I know what it is. I just don't know how it works. It just works through light impulses of light.
Yeah, so it's a glass strand about the size of a human hair.
Right.
It has what they call a core, which is different gases are filled in the middle of it, and that's where the light goes. So the minute you cause a bend in it too far, you're causing a refraction, so that if you have a straight line, I don't know how to. So you have a straight line and it bends too far, that light comes out of it.
Right.
It's Rayleigh scattering, backscattering, and then Fresnel's refraction. And so basically, anytime you try to manipulate the stuff, if it's not within its parameters, you're either going to get loss of signal, which automatically sends alarms to the equipment that something's not working right, or the minute you break it to try and tap into it or something like that, it's you broke the signal. So you would have to splice it back together, and that too would throw alarms on the equipment.
Hey, there's a couple of people in here that are saying things that I don't totally disagree with, but I'm going to go ahead and state my position on it because I think it probably needs to be said just so they know where it's at. Number one, I'm accountable for your comments. I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. I can get a strike for your comments. It's happening in other people's channels. I don't disagree with some of what you're saying about outside forces being relevant in this country today. But we have a lot of fights to get to before we ever have to worry about that one. So it's kind of it's like I don't want to call it a straw man argument, but it's a moot argument at this point. When we get there, we can deal with that. But today, a certain religion or people or a certain nation state isn't completely controlling the country. They're not controlling your local cops or your local city council or even your state government. Like, I get it, but like we don't have to go down that road the whole time. So a little bit more. No, we don't need no Ghost. We need everybody to take up responsibility for themselves, man. And if people understood what freedom was, they'd be more apt to stand up for it. I mean, like, we have a constitution that theoretically is supposed to restrict our government, but it only restricts government if there's force behind it.
So for those fiber optic lines, they run those thousands of miles under the ocean? Is that what you're saying? Or
yeah, like we're connected. It's I don't know. Can you do like a share screen? Yeah. Submarine fiber.
Real quick before you go on this, we'll see you later, Haywood. That's what I'm talking about. People are just in here to say one thing. Like, so his thing was the alleged small hat people or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And since I said just don't even mention that, well, he's dipping out because of that. So he was only here to say that. Like, I don't get that.
They don't want to hear another idea either.
Well, if
they get obsessed over that once they just think it's the end all.
Right, but even if it is, let's just say that's 100% truth. Look at how many barriers do we have before we get to that fight?
Too many.
Like, how many barriers are there in a way that we have to break through until we get to that, if that is true? And I'm not saying it's not totally true. I mean, but the thing is that, I mean, there's Christians as much involved in it, or atheists as much involved in it. It's about greed, money, and power more than anything.
Yeah. I don't think it's any just one specific group, which that's what they want you to think.
Right.
And well, that's the whole reason behind it, because even if they are somewhat right about anything, nobody will want to go along with whatever you're trying to do, because you're not going to get massive amounts of people to go along with that.
Like, I just want you all to be able to live your lives. Like, if you want to get up and go to work, I want you to be responsible for you. I want to be like, the way I want to live, I'm working toward living the way I think that everybody should live. I think we should all be responsible for ourselves. So I can't grow my own food today, right? So if that was to happen overnight, I accept the fact that I would die. My kids would probably die. But if you've made the right choices in your life and you've learned how to do that stuff, you have the responsibility to do that in your life, or in yourself, then you would be free in the end. It's not about all of us living to be free. It's about getting to the point that those that live can be free. I'm sorry, but back to the fiber optic thing. There's fiber optics that run across the Atlantic now, ain't there?
Yeah. There's hundreds. I shared the screen, but it doesn't just automatically pop up where my screen is.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
No, that's fine. But I mean, we got, because not only do we have the ones that run from here to there, but then we also have backups as well. So
Right.
there's a lot of shit down there. But with that being said, like even in the Cold War, there was fiber optics in Russia going from
Hey, Chris, do you have an AC blowing on you or something?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Is that better?
Yeah, maybe. I think so. My bad, man. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
It's
I have
gone now. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, it's gone now. Well, I've been hearing it the whole time. I was like, what the hell is that? And then I was thinking, like, wait a second. I think it was Chris. No, you're good, man.
But yeah, so like they went under the guise of recovering a ballistic missile during the Cold War. And they actually tapped into Russia's underground copper lines that were running from sea to sea.
Is that when they, was it one of our missiles or the Russian submarine?
Those are Russian ones.
Okay, because there is a Russian submarine that sunk that has nuclear warheads on it.
Yeah, I think that might have been the one that they were going after.
Right, and that was right before they found the Titanic, maybe? No.
No, this was like back in the 80s.
Okay, my bad. In the 80s. In the 80s?
Maybe earlier.
Because I know that the Titanic was found because of they had a scientist or some kind of deep water, like the deep water guys that go down and look for shit in the deep water. So the government paid them to find, I think it was a Russian sub, and then they gave them whatever money was left over to look for the Titanic, and that's how the Titanic wound up actually being found. I just seen a video the other day, dude. Are you familiar with the shit with the class submarines, the Russian subs that they call them the Doomsday? They call them the Doomsday submarines, but that's not what they are. I forget what class they are. I want to say it's Shark. I want to say it's Shark class submarines. Nuclear power. They have like 26 nuclear warheads on them. But anyway, there was only 4 of these submarines left in the world, and they just launched one the other day, allegedly.
Huh.
Don't know how true that is, but
no, I'm not familiar with it.
Didn't Russia? Patriotic Constitutionalist said, didn't Russia sink a UK ship recently? No, I think they shot warning shots at them or something. Something's going on between the UK and Russia because UK was up there messing around Ukraine again. And the other little, what's the name of the country right there that Ukraine is trying to take back?
Crimea?
Crimea, yeah.
Well,
it's the Crimea region, but I know what you're talking about. And then, like, when they were at the G7 summit, they did Russia and China did a war games out by Hawaii.
Right. Why would
UK
they
says they didn't, though.
Why would they do something like that?
To provoke Biden.
I think they know that Biden is this country's pretty weak, man. You know, we used to be a military superpower when the country was as one. So if you look back to like World War II, people were literally like saving their cans and shit from eating their green beans in order to help with the war effort. And like I agree with that camaraderie. I don't agree with going and fighting a war in a foreign nation that we have nothing to do, or I don't agree with these alliances we have with these other countries. I think that if our government creates an alliance with another country, it puts those people above us, or at least partially above us at some point. You think World War III will happen in our lifetime?
I don't know. We might be on our way to it right now. I think America is the weakest it's ever been as far as on the like international stage. Right. I think the only person that doesn't know Biden has dementia is Biden. Right. I mean,
I don't know if y'all watch Joe Cool. If you don't, you should subscribe to his channel. Really good dude. Does a bunch of First Amendment audits and out of Chicago. You can come into the chat if you want, Joe. He was on the stream I did yesterday when I joined in. He was on there.
You might have to resend the link. It's all the way at the top now, unless you pinned it.
Oh, I just sent it again. I just put it in the chat again. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Let's stop pushing Putin back. My wife's screaming. I see it. I think we'll see the end of the world first. I don't know if we'll see the end of the world first, man. I think that, there's so much shit going on, man, and we have we're dabbling in so many different things when it comes to our leadership, whatever. I don't like using that term. Our government. We're everywhere. We're spread so thin that it wouldn't really. I don't think it'd really be that hard for somebody to at least cause a major issue in this country. Look, they could EMP over North Dakota and put the lights out in the whole country for who knows how long. Every electronic item in the country would be done with one nuclear warhead, 200 miles above or 20 miles above North Dakota. I think the possibility of that's very real, especially now, especially with how weak our country is and how spread out we are. They see the weakness. They see the same shit we do. They see how weak the Biden is. They see that Biden's not even running the show.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive they see the division that the media is like causing day after day. It doesn't take a mastermind to figure out what they're trying to do.
Right. What's up, Joe? What's up, Joe? How you doing, man?
Oh, hold on. Let me get back to you. I was in private. What's going on?
Hey, nothing much. How you been?
I'm good. Just got back in town. And what you were just saying about how EMP or something over North Dakota or something, think how they react to something simple. I shouldn't call it simple, but a shooting or a cop killed, they overreact and make new laws. Can you imagine if something big did happen, water supply got hit or something? We would immediately acquiesce and give up every fucking the right that we have left.
Right. Oh yeah. We're moving toward that, man. It's slowly and surely. It may not be in our lifetimes, but they're eventually, if something doesn't happen, they're going to completely control the people, and it's based off of the lies, like we were talking about earlier. It's the people are just so willing to accept shit as constitutional or even part of freedom. Look at the police as an example. Did you give the cops authority over you?
I have not.
You have not. Well, I haven't either.
Yeah, and I don't. Okay, go ahead.
So sight word.
Man, it's not wise, man. We should all be equal, man. It's not
right.
wise.
Right, and constitutionally, we're all supposed to be equal. But see, we've bought into this bullshit. Tyranny happens because people continue to push their power onto the government. They give their authority to government. It's easier for government to police our communities than it is us. And then you wind up with the shit. Like, we just happen to be born in a time where we got the shit end of the deal. Yeah. So, we gotta fix it.
Agreed. I gotta ask. I came in. You guys were talking about Biden. I assume because you're a bright cat that your buddies are bright cats. So I gotta ask you. The Republicans, are they much better? Are they any better? Are they our saviors?
They're one and the same.
Freedom, not you, Freedom. These cats.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, they're one and the same. They're the same animal. It's
all right. What about you, Michael? What about you?
Say if anything, they're worse because they'll lie. At least Democrats are honest about what they want.
All right. I didn't think I was gonna catch nobody sleeping in there. I really did, yo.
I don't think the Republicans know what they want. They just follow Democrats every 10 years. They move a little bit in their direction.
I would assume only few of them exactly know, and they only know what enough of the plan is. I assume that this is not by accident. This is too well coordinated. They keep us dancing from foot to foot. It's too well coordinated to be accident. I believe someone's calling the shots there, man. And most of them are ignorant. Some of them even probably believe the dream is still alive and I can do change. But that's not built in the system. It ain't changed since I was alive. We've been hopping from one leg to the other since I was born.
Right, I don't disagree with that, man. But I mean, it took me. I didn't realize it until recently. I'm not for sure. I think Michael was pretty recent, also. Chris, I'm not really for sure when he started to notice there was a problem. But how do we?
What was the catalyst? And we got, and don't forget that. How did we fix? Thank you. I meant to ask you that over there, but they wouldn't give you no breathing room. Shit. What was the question I wanted to ask? What was the catalyst? He said you guys are just coming around this form of thinking. So am I, and I can tell you my catalyst. I'm interested in yours.
If I'm going to be honest, I've been seeing it since the 90s.
Okay.
I grew up with skinheads in the Klan and my family, bikers and all that.
Yeah.
And it's been anti-government since I can remember.
Okay.
I've since dropped that portion of their belief system. It's something when you grow up in it, you don't know no better.
They had that anti-government shit. I bet you a lot of it right, man. I be wanting to join with them cats. I know they wouldn't have me, but I be thinking we share a lot, yo.
If people would just realize how similar the belief structure is of the different neighborhoods, like we would have so many more people that are willing to not necessarily willing, but just on the same page.
Yes, which is what we need, right?
Right.
We're gonna pull this off. We need a lot of people. Michael, what about you, man? When did you come around this thing?
I would say like 2 years ago when I was still in the military.
This is
I just I just wanted to get out and be free, and then I didn't really have a set of like values or anything.
Yeah.
I forget what I was. I think I was on YouTube watching some video about like you should something about driver's like you should be able to drive without a driver's license. Like that's your. And I had a roommate who was like a wannabe cop, and I tried explaining, I mean, you really don't need a license to travel, if you go through the loopholes and whatnot, but that's a losing game. And then I think, oh no, what it was the Vegas shooting. That really, when that happened, I'm like, when the media like dismissed it right away, I'm like, something's up here. And then I just kind of dug deeper and deeper. And then
the media
with 2020, when they released the virus, my fiance, she's a nurse, so she's seen something's up, and that's kind of what did it, I guess.
I think you're saying that a lot of shit happened at the same time.
Yeah, it was all just kind of at once, and
I'm not sure what happened over there when you say you were in the military. What you conclusion you came to over there. That part was vague, and I'm interested. Did you become disenchanted or something like that? I'm interested.
Disenchanted.
Disenchanted. I mean, did you start the philosophy over there? Because I could see, this may not have happened, I can see you over there. I'm fighting for my country. When they went over and asked them cats at the last war what they were fighting for, it was because they was over there fighting Saddam Hussein because he knocked down the towers, and we don't accept terrorists. They didn't even know they was in the wrong country. So I could see it's a possibility over there fighting for something. Then you become disillusioned and say, I'm hurting people. It's not what I think it was.
No, I didn't do any fighting or anything. I just The opposite, really. I just had a lot of time to think.
I think he's saying when he got out and he's seen what happened with the Vegas shooting, he's seen that there was a lie in it. There was something that wasn't right about it. They were pushing a narrative that obviously wasn't correct in his mind.
Yeah.
And then it took him down that rabbit hole of, the government it's force and violence backed up by lies, man, is what it is. Like freedom is not what we know as freedom today. Freedom's not being extorted. It's not being ruled over, and you are ruled over. And people are like, well, no, I'm not. I'm free. Well, wait till you fit the description one time. Let's see how free you actually are.
How people come around, it happens to them or a family member.
Right.
Shit, yeah.
Right. Like,
It's
and
just,
like everybody's touched by it. That's like when they got this new, I don't know if you're hip to the new, they're trying to ban pistol braces, right? And, I'm the most pro gun person there is.
Right.
Everybody has a right to keep and bear arms, period. No exceptions to it.
Yeah.
And but now I'm just to the point, fuck it, ban them all. That way it touches at least almost everybody, and then ban everything, let it touch everybody, and then they might get mad enough to try to understand.
That's how I felt when these protests started happening. I don't want to see nobody get hurt, windows broken, all of that shit. The COVID shit hit. Everybody was out without jobs and shit. All the same people that say I hate welfare are now waiting on a stimulus check. And now that it touched them and they start opening them, am I wrong? Because I was thinking, man, I need more. Because then it appears that when it touches you and your family, you see, I need you to see, man, and help me do this now.
Right. But people won't see it until it affects them, though, man. You know that.
It sure looks that way, man. Am I crazy? I go out here all the time and I try to convince cops and public officials and that, there's a better way to do this. You guys prey on us. You take our money. Am I wasting my time? Do they have to have something bad from the government happen to one of their own before they'll be able to hear my message?
Right. Yeah. And they will have to. Just like my message. I want you to be free and responsible for you. Whatever that means to you, that doesn't partake in government. You're relying on 911 to be there to save you. I mean, you live in Chicago, don't you?
I do, but I can move around in Chicago. I ain't had a job in since the 80s, a legit job. I've hustled. I can move around. So that means the government can't fuck with me making my living,
Right. Right. Well, what I mean is but if you want to protect yourself and you want to carry a firearm and you mean no harm to anyone, but you are not going to let anybody harm you.
Yes.
And then one of the state hired thugs comes along and pats you down for whatever reason and finds it. Now you're doing multiple years in the Illinois prison system for doing nothing.
So if I gotta agree with these cats, with the part about getting rid of the government and I'm doing my own shit, that means that I get to run my business. I get to do what I do, right? In this system, right? I mean,
well, I'm not anti-government by any means. I'm anti-tyrannical. I'm anti what we know as government today.
Right. I misspoke because I don't think I'm anti-government as well, and I wouldn't want to characterize you so.
Oh no, I just want to be clear because a lot of people think that I'm an anarchist, like in the today's definition of anarchy, but I'm not. I'm anarchist in the term of without rulers. Nobody rules over me, not even government. Yes. They don't rule over you.
Yes.
But we've let these. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I could walk down the sidewalk and I do a video, and a cop tell me to get off the corner or move or to say something crazy, and I'll snap, I'll trigger. Who the fuck you talking to or something like that, and I get criticized for it. But and you share that same belief that I have no ruler, nobody rules over me, and I don't feel the authority in him that they feel. So I equate it to if they're walking down the street and some random dude just say, get the fuck off my corner, they would trigger as well. But they see some mist that says this guy is a god, just obey. He can do shit like that.
Right. And just because they have a uniform on doesn't give them the authority to do some shit that would put me and you in prison for years.
I agree.
When we was in Columbus the other day, I posted a video. It's on my Patreon. It's free. You can go check it out. It's free. I just put it over there because it causes less problems. The trolls are less apt to go start to troll you. But there were some guys up there that were openly communist, and they believed in communism. So I'm like, well, hey, give me $50, And the dude's like, well, you can't do that because you're an individual. Well, so I tapped, Travis on the shoulder. I was like, tell him. He's like, Travis, like, yeah, give him that $50. So they are pro that whatever it is, socialism, communism, whatever you want to call it, until it affects them directly. And it's the same thing with what we're talking about. Until it affects you directly, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to get it. You're not going to want to stand up against it. And that's a major problem we have now. There was 385 million police interactions last year in this country alone.
No, but I hope I remember that stat. But I'm way too fucking blowed. No fucking chance. Your question you just had. What can we do to change it? Let's start there, bro. And there was a fireworks going off. I'll mute it to keep going. They usually, just together. What can I tell you? We start early.
Really fireworks?
Yeah, those are fireworks, man.
Jonathan does too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ghost has been asking them, Jonathan.
I didn't. Were you in Chicago right now?
I'm back home. I'm in Chicago. Yeah, I just got back yesterday.
I've never been to downtown up there. I'd like to go. I like to go up there sometime, man. But we live in a pretty friendly state when it comes to firearms and things like that. Like firearms is my biggest thing, because if you don't have the right to protect yourself, then you're a slave. Period.
You can't even. Those fireworks are illegal. They can't even do that. Those are illegal.
Did you see where the LAPD blew up their bomb squad? Blew up that little community with the fireworks. The guy was selling fireworks, and they raided him.
No.
And they blew it up.
Yeah, they detonated them with a mobile bomb disposal unit, and a fucking female bomb disposal chick blew them up and injured 17 people. Yeah,
I bet they felt important.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show you that anytime government gets involved in some shit, it fucks it up.
Agreed, right? 9 scariest words in human language, English language. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
So I thought somebody had some bass. I thought somebody was popping, listening to some drill music or some rap.
Joe Cool, you got a fan in the chat. He's saying that death follows you, and you're most likely Antifa or some branch of government.
I was just telling Freedom the same thing.
What'd you say?
What the fuck? Death follows me, and I'm Antifa.
Yeah, or some form of government.
You were the cause of something catching on fire too.
That's my wife's dog. You're like, since you travel around and shit happens, like it's not because shit doesn't happen when you're not there. You just happen to have a camera where you're at. Everybody had
like Murder She Wrote. That chick is just always near a murder.
Right.
That type of shit.
Right. Well, like if everybody carried a camera all the time, they would go back throughout their day and see some shit that happened. You know what I mean? And like, I don't care what label anybody has. I don't care what label you want to take. If in the end you're responsible for you and I'm responsible for me, and we don't have government deciding that you're responsible for me or I'm responsible for you.
I'm not big on it anyway, because anytime you label someone a Democrat and you ask what are their beliefs, well, they want to take your guns. The first Democrat you ask says, no, I want everybody to have their guns. Whatever Republicans are supposed to do, you'll find just as many that disagree. I'm not sure labels even fucking work, man.
I mean, I don't disagree with that either, because now the labels are so smeared. Like there's multiple people that call me a Marxist.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's now we're labeling people based on our beliefs. You can be completely against Marxism, but because you say that one thing that I disagree with, you're now a Marxist.
Yeah.
It goes back to the technology thing and people not getting punched in the mouth enough. They hide behind the keyboard.
Right. They would not say these things. That's been my belief as well. They would not say these things face to face. They would not be this disrespectful. None of that shit.
Right. Like, dude, yesterday, I don't even know who that one dude was, but he was out of control, if you ask me.
That would have been 10th, man. I was in the basement. I was trying to hop up there, and he come in the door ready to attack. And, that's kind of, we do that shit, man. We test people and all of that shit. But I thought he came in hot, man.
Yeah. I stayed on there for hours. I don't know how long I was on there. But I don't feel like I once got to explain my position at all before I was interrupted and told how I felt.
I tried, bro. I tried to
I know
get
you did. I know you did. I know you did. I appreciate it, man.
hard-headed fucks, Joe. You know,
You got a YouTube channel?
I do. Matter of fact, Freedom, if you can pull it up, why don't you? I got
Yeah.
a posted a video today. Why don't you play the first
I'm
couple?
gonna have my wife pull it up right now. It's Joe Cool.
Yeah,
I'm
Oh,
gonna have my
that's
wife
just
pull it up
Joe
right
Cool.
now and post it.
yeah. I just dropped something before I came on
Yeah,
here.
that's right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, we got to work together, man. Until everybody starts working together, we're not going to accomplish anything, man. You know, it's like I feel like with every person that wakes up, there's two more people that double down on their stupidity.
I know, right?
Liberty Chick just posted a link to Joe Cool's channel if y'all want to go there and check him out. I've been a subscriber to him for 2 years now, at least.
Yeah, this dude's really on his nuts. He's been watching him for a year, but hasn't seen him say anything intelligent. Like, I want to know, like, why do you, if you don't find value in something, why do you keep on watching it?
Ooh. What was that question to?
Shouting at clouds.
Oh, in the chat, I wasn't looking.
Yeah, I'm barely watching the chat. I'm like,
I've been keeping track of all the feds on Rockin' and affiliates. That's how I know Joe Cool. Oh, you idiot. Oh, stop it. I hear you. I usually don't acknowledge motherfucking trolls that I don't even know in chat. I don't feel the need to respond to knuckleheads like that. But you obviously haven't seen my channel, man. That's a fallacy. It absolutely is a fallacy, man.
Well, like here's what I run with, man. Like I'm making an assumption here, and it's a like, you tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but you know, I've been to places where people have literally almost lost their lives, or probably have lost their lives because somebody pointed at them and said that dude's a snitch, and then in the end, to come to find out, that dude was screwing old boy's mom or something 15 years prior to that, and it did nothing. So until I see it right here, until you show me the paperwork,
yeah,
I don't do that shit, man.
That's certainly how it happens in this community. But I probably got damn near 200 vids. So he's just trolling, man. No fucking way you ain't figured me out by now and know who I am. If you watch 5 of my shit, you're like, they out to murder that nigga. So ain't no fucking way you think that we the same cats. That's trolling, bro.
No, I get it.
Ahead,
I know it's trolling, but it's just.
I've had them come to my house. You cats are not familiar. When I first started this shit, I was told a black guy in Chicago wouldn't last 2 weeks. And when I first started, they believed they're the police. They don't have to follow law. I was still on probation, by the way. I just got off of house arrest, and I said I wasn't gonna cop watch. I started watching the vids while I was on house arrest, and I knew immediately I was gonna pick up a camera. But I went out there. I was still on probation, so I didn't pull up my camera. But I had a lot of conversations. When I started pulling out that camera, Joe, they attacked. They would catch me away from the crib and threaten me. I walk out the house, they'll peel off. We know where you live at. Threat, bogus arrest. And I wore them fucks down, Joe. Now, you watch my shit now, Joe. I could be chewing out one of their buddies. Them cats gonna stay back and be like, hey, Joe, cool, how you doing? They don't want no parts of me. They don't want the heat. They're gonna tell their friends, leave him alone. That's Joe Cool. You see the whole evolution.
Right. Well, let's say for the sake of argument, just for the sake of argument here, that you were a Fed, and we're talking. So what? You know what I'm saying? Like for the sake for this conversation, it doesn't matter.
What would it change, right? I say
right. It wouldn't change anything.
Right.
Now, in some people's eyes, it would change your view. But I think your view is, I don't know your entire view. I know that you do. I know you do a lot of First Amendment audit stuff.
Yeah.
But like in my view, the police are the problem. Like tyranny is not possible without enforcement. So it's the immoral men willing to commit immoral acts against moral people in exchange for payment that is the problem, which is the policing forces, which we didn't allow for in our Constitution. I mean, we literally just shot the British police forces in the face. Why are we going to allow another police force to rule over the country, another standing army? We wouldn't.
It's because we're in the opposite color.
Right. Well, I mean, people.
It's not obvious to them.
People are just unwilling to defend themselves, man, against the government because we've had it beat in our head that these clowns, because they wear these costumes, can do whatever they want. You know, and I know, like, for you, it's gotten easier for you because you've been doing this, but you shouldn't have had to go through the bullshit in order to just be able to do what you have a right to do. You know, all that time that you wasted, money wasted for bonds or whatever, that's all infringements on your freedom. If you were to do the same to them, if you were to kidnap them overnight until they paid you a ransom, you'd be in prison.
Agreed, right? Agreed. I always tell them, I get a lot of shit in my comments. Why aren't you going after the gang bangers and drug dealers?
Joe, do you know the guy in Florida? I can't remember what his name is, but he does he's the Fisher guy, and he does all the Second Amendment audits.
That's my man, Solo Yaka. Well, now he changed it to the armed fisherman.
Yeah, dude, he's got some good. I grew up in Florida, and a lot of places he goes to, I've been to, so I like watching his videos.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. When you go, by the way, he cooked me a steak about a month ago. I was over his crib for a few days.
I like watching his videos, man. They're pretty good.
Joe does a lot of stuff with the disorderly product news too.
And I got some shit with Rogue. If you could show some video, the one I did today is with Freedom of Film and Rogue. The one I dropped today.
Right. I'm on my phone, so I can't pull anything up. My wife can possibly pull it up.
I got another phone. I'll pull it up or something.
That's cool.
Do you guys watch James Freeman?
Yes, I hung out with him. I got vids with that nigga. That's my man.
I like his where he reverses the cop questions.
Yes, he's great at that.
Those are the best.
Hey, I want to see Joe Cool and Barricade Garage get together and do a live stream. That'd be funnier than shit. Barricade Garage.
I don't know who that is.
Oh man, you're not hit the Barricade Garage? Dude, listen, man, check him out. You like him? He's a good dude. He's a good dude. He, you know, people. You know, like we have a dude in our community named Liberty Williams who makes videos. What's sad is that I can say something and Liberty Williams can say something, and based off the color of our skin, people won't listen to me, but they will listen to him say the exact same thing. You know, so it's we just have to keep working, man, and keep pushing and keep trying to talk to people, and make them see the truth. Like being free to do as you're told is not freedom.
I'm sorry, man. This is my ex is texting me. I need to make a call. I'll be back.
No, there you're good, man. He was on that chat yesterday. That's why I let him in because he has a lot of cool. Yeah. Oh, the ghost wants to come on. My bad. Hang on a second. Well, here you all talk for a minute. I'll post the live here in a minute again for a second. Oh, I can't. You guys ain't familiar with Joe Cool though?
I might have seen. Sorry.
He does a lot of First Amendment audit shit, especially around Chicago. But he gets around everywhere. You know who Disorderly Product News is?
No.
Oh,
is that a YouTube channel?
Yeah. No, he drives everywhere.
He went to other guys. So how about being okay with the hood league businesses during the riots?
Who was okay with that? He wasn't okay with that. He said he wasn't. Yeah, he said he wasn't okay with that stuff.
There's things.
I mean, all he is a First Amendment auditor and a lightweight journalist, I guess is what you would call it. A lot of police interactions, and it's, you know, like for instance, there was like a bomb threat or something one day. I seen a video of his, and he just kind of sitting there and filmed it, and for no reason the cops just start fucking with him, and he's 150 yards down the street. Does a lot of that stuff. You know, I don't have to agree with everything that somebody does to agree with somebody.
I want to ask him how he deals with 10th.
How he deals with 10th, all that I forgot. But he was in there yesterday. He kept trying to get him to calm down so I could speak, man. And these dudes were just attacking me, telling me my wife was a cunt and shit. She was pushing golf balls out of her pussy or something. Some weird shit, man.
I knew a stripper that used to do that online.
Listen, he said so much crazy shit. Me and my wife were like laughing. I wasn't even mad about it. It was so insane. I couldn't even be mad about it. And I told him my address was like, people are just so comfortable behind these keyboards and shit nowadays, guys.
Well, that was my point. I was trying to make the shout. Like, he kept on saying shit about Joe, and it's like, well, you're going to come on here and spout a bunch of bullshit, like, show that it's not bullshit. Like,
right. And that's how I feel. Like, even with Matt from CRS Firearms, people call that dude a Fed. I have yet to call Matt a Fed because I haven't seen that he's a Fed. Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit that's happened. I'll give you that much. Yes, he runs his fucking mouth way too much. I will give you that much. But to say that he is a Fed, I'm not willing to do that. I don't do that to anybody. I've learned my lesson about that because I've seen what comes from that. Normally, it's the person getting almost losing their life for whatever reason, and then the person who winds up being what they said this person was the person who told you that person was that thing. You know what I mean? And like I said, normally that dude was banging his old lady or something.
Yeah.
It's just like you can't get that started, man, because like once that juju is put on you, it's hard to get off.
That makes sense. I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm guilty of calling them out like that, CRS.
Well, like look at his channel. We pulled his channel stats up the other day. From the time people started calling him a Fed, around that time his channel views were around 600,000, I think is what it was.
Right.
And in the last week of June, they was at 150,000. Like that shit hurts motherfuckers, man. And I'm not saying like I disagree with the CRS about a lot of shit. Right now, I personally don't like the dude. I'd punch him in the fucking mouth if he was in front of me. But I'm not going to call him a Fed.
Right.
I don't do that. I'm not going to call anybody a Fed until I see it. Now, you show it on paper. Like, I have the paperwork to prove that Jason Newton from Lebanon, Ohio, is that how you say his last name? Noonan. Jason Noonan is a confidential informant for the Sharonville Police Department and for Cincinnati Renew when it existed. I have that paperwork to show you. I can prove it.
Right.
Unless you got some shit to show me, man, just keep, we can stipulate. We can say, well, he might be not doing what's right, but I'm not willing to put that stamp on somebody.
No,
Just me.
that's true. And I mean, that's, we all got to work on stuff.
Right.
Sometimes I jump to a conclusion just as much as the next person, like that dude did.
Right.
And it's easy to point the finger at somebody.
Well, like, also, if you've been following dude for a year, like, well, what are you following him for years? What have you been following dude for years for if you ain't got nothing that's saying nothing that you want to hear?
Yeah, if you're not getting any value out of it, why bother?
Right.
But he's saying because he tracks feds or some shit. I don't know. I gave him my email and your email, and he said he was going to email some stuff. So most likely it's just going to be a bunch of conjecture, but if anything at all.
Right. Well, I mean, there's also the illusion that I have to agree with everything that you agree with to agree on something. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so for the example, when they did the in Portland, was it in Portland when they made what was that thing called that they barricaded off? I forget now.
Where's Scarface do?
What was that zone?
The autonomous zone?
The autonomous zone. I agree with that. If that is their community, they live in the community, and they want to kick the fucking cops out, more power to them. Let them do what they do.
That was a problem, though. A lot of them weren't from that community.
Right, and that was my problem with it. I don't agree with it if you're not from the community. I don't agree with it if somebody doesn't have the same rights, privileges, and immunities in your community as they do right outside of it, since it's still a part of this country. Right. But if you wanted to choose to govern your community in another manner, more power to you. Like people said I was a Marxist because of that. I get called a Marxist because I say abolish the police. I'm like, dude, I've been saying that shit for 5 years before BLM came out with it. And they didn't just come out with that by chance. Like, if you look at the facts, the right quit supporting the police as much because they were fucking arresting moms and playgrounds and shit. And mysteriously, out of nowhere, here comes BLM with let's defund the police. And because of polarization, what'd the right do? They doubled down on supporting the police.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like
perfect.
Dude, it's like there's two people sitting in some office somewhere with PS4 paddles playing the whole country. You know what I mean?
I think he accidentally hit Scarface by his pocket because he's not responding.
Okay.
So we need to uncover Scarface, and then
I can't do it.
Yeah, because you're the one that's.
But I don't think I can do it from here.
And
I can try, but I don't think I'm not on YouTube. I'm on something else.
Okay, he was unhidden by TLR.
All right.
Never mind.
So you guys are.
And then this guy's in there that you were
talking
talking about bringing in earlier.
Who's that?
The fuck DDS or whatever. Or DSS.
Well, hold on. Somebody's trying to get in here. Oh, Joe Cool's back.
I'm just saying that's the guy that.
What's up, man?
DSS is my man too, man.
So what do you think? What do you think? If you could say we got to do one thing in order to fix, what's happening in this country today, what would you do? One thing.
I don't know if this is a proper response. I'd get rid of that monarchy and make everybody equal. I need my government to be equal. I think that would mean holding them accountable and giving them twice the sentence that you give regular motherfuckers, and and that type of shit when they do wrong, having people watch them all the fucking time. I don't know, but I need them to be equal to me. They can't be,
Well,
that's a start.
constitutionally, we're all supposed to be equal. Even the
I
sheriffs,
know.
even the sheriffs didn't have like legitimate arresting powers where they could arrest you on their own. They had to have the community involved to do that. Like all that information has been forgotten. Like policing forces are 100% unconstitutional. It's government force, government authority over what is allegedly a free people. You know, for the first 60 years in this country, there were no policing forces.
Yeah.
And it graduated because people like in New York, where immigrants are coming to New York, they had like the gangs in New York type thing going on, and the people passed their responsibility to be responsible for themselves and property onto their street gangs, which became the police forces. Literally, the police started as street gangs.
No.
Like
the police are slave catchers. Original police. That's exactly what officer.
Right, but if you go back, pre-Civil War, if you go back to what we know as the actual police forces of today, they started in the. I know what you're talking about. I forget there's another word for it, man. There's another name they called those dudes. But I mean, there was policing forces in this country all the way back to the 1550s.
The one as we know it. That's where it originated from. Yeah.
So
I'm sure everybody form in the sense that it sounds like you're talking about. Everybody's going to form their own police. What we call it something else, a squad, a governors, or whatever we call it. We'll have our own police if this thing you happen to occur.
Well, no, you're responsible for yourself. There's nobody has authority over anyone. So constitutionally, constitutionally, there was supposed to be. I'm sorry.
Me and my mob in this society, we would make sure our community is taken care of. We would assign duties to people. This guy would be this is his responsibility to do this, talk to those people. Those people, whatever we call them, would be cops.
Well, no, see that's where it failed. That's where you wind up right back to where we are, is when you give people authority.
Rap with me then. I say, all right, rap with me. What do you do? What do you do?
Constitutionally, we have an appointed sheriff that doesn't have arresting powers on his own. So he's just a mediator, basically, between the common law courts, not the criminal justice system today, but the common law courts, how it's supposed to be within the community. If there's an issue, say Joe Cool robs my house, I then collect the evidence. I then show the sheriff if there's reason to get a warrant. He then deputizes them. Huh?
There is police there. That's the police, the sheriff.
But no, the sheriff doesn't have arresting powers without the community backing him.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say police then. I meant those law enforcement. I didn't mean the word.
Right. But no, he wouldn't be a law enforcement officer. So this ain't somebody that would have a 40-hour-a-week job with a badge on. He would get a phone call while he was woodworking or whatever, or blacksmithing, saying, "Hey, we need you," and then they would go figure it out.
Everybody wears pagers.
It goes back to self-governance. Like if you read like a lot of the founders' letters, and they talk a lot about self-governance. It boils down to an individual to be responsible for their own life and property.
I think I understand you, but I don't think you understand me, because I keep saying a word and it makes me think a certain thing. The point I was trying to make is that we will organize our own clan to handle law shit. I'm trying to say it without giving any titles there.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to name.
Right. But the issue becomes is when you start organizing, like so you giving me the responsibility to patrol this street out here, right? Now you giving me authority. Then now I have authority over people on that street.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how it will play out, but I'd have some guy who I call, who lived in a certain neighborhood, who could gather the men.
Right.
If that's how it happened, brought forth the justice, that guy would be the equivalent of what I'm trying to say.
Right.
I don't know what the
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But nobody's appointed by government. Where it's
Yeah.
just private, everything's like
That'd be kind of
like you as a
crazy.
friend, you pay your friend to come because you pay your friend to come patrol or give security to your neighborhood. Is that what you mean?
Thinking you don't pay him, you do what you. I would help him because I expect him to help me. If he's having trouble in his hood and he's a couple hoods over or something, I go there and help him out, not expect the same from him. Allegiances and alliances would form.
So you're saying like neighborhood watch, but with the same, I guess, positional power as like normal law enforcement now?
I don't think I'm talking about anybody even actively out there. I haven't thought that much. I was talking about responsibly. Hey, so I guess neighborhood watch. If someone was having burglaries, me and my friends would try to do a sting, so whatever you want to call it.
Well, I mean, if we have a constitution. The problem is if we divert from the constitution that we have, is that forms our new zero. So let's say a state was to secede from the union today and draft a new constitution and become their own country. At that point, felons won't have rights because it's become the new normal to point at a felon and say they don't have this right. So we need to try. My position, this is only my position, is we need to try to fix what we have. We can do that in a constitutional manner because constitutionally, the people rule over government. So now tyranny doesn't happen overnight. It happens over long periods of time, and we are at the tail end of this tyrannical government, not at the beginning. They've already created policing forces that oppress you while protecting them. There's no repercussions for violating your rights when it comes to politicians.
Agree. And any government person damn near. So what do we do to fix this? What's our first step?
It take a large mass of people to just turn their back and say we're not going to comply and then protect each other from those government forces.
This might be an unpopular position, but I know you argue a lot with the people that you went to that what was that thing you went to a couple days ago?
Oh, I can't even say it. I say it, Christy. Asseveration Day. I say asseveration is not what it is. It's Severation Day.
Yeah.
Severation Day?
Separation.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of the stuff, maybe not so, like a lot of the cultural stuff, there's stuff that we all agree on. Their little utopia that they want isn't going to be found in Marxism or socialism or communism, but it will be found in freedom.
Right. Well, so maybe
but that's interesting.
Maybe we need to find. Okay, so let's lay a definition. What's freedom? Maybe that's the foundation we need to build off of. What is freedom? And then anything that interrupts that from one person to the next would be a violation of natural law, which would be a problem.
Freedom, I don't think, is doing whatever you want. I think freedom is coexisting with other people in an uninterrupted life.
Right. So if I do whatever I want and it doesn't interrupt your life, am I free to do it?
It sounds like freedom.
Right. So as long as I'm not violating your rights, you don't have a right to not be offended. You don't have a right to not like what I do on my property.
No, but that doesn't interrupt me.
Right.
Nobody has an authority over you.
Right. And I disagree totally with these dudes going down and blocking roads. Run them fuckers over. They're violating your rights because they're stopping you they're impeding on your freedom.
Yeah, but the only reason why there are so many of them is because they're impressionable. Most of them are young kids that don't know no better. I've seen the same thing growing up with the skinhead kids.
Right.
They'll take action. They'll back up whoever they believe in. They just need to be shown the right way.
Oh.
And a lot of it coincides.
A lot of it is what? Sides?
It coincides.
It coincides. All right.
What they truly believe in. They say they're going to find it in socialism, but they're not. They're only going to get their little utopian where their gay friend can suck his boyfriend's dick and smoke as much as weed as he wants in a non-government sanctioned lifestyle.
Right. It's not a real freedom. Is where you going with that?
No, it's again, you live under socialism. It's just the illusion of freedom, but just a different illusion than what we're living under now.
Reed, what do you picture?
What's that?
What do you picture? What do you see? What is your
My idea of freedom is, if somebody fucking robs for me, you fucking punch them in the mouth and fucking get your shit back. Like, you don't need to involve shit to where, they go down for 12 years because they stole a $5,000 computer from you or something like that.
Bro, that's insane. That's hard to get behind.
I think they rely too much on the whole, what do they call it? The reform. Like, let's send somebody to prison and reform them. Those people aren't being reformed.
I've been there 4 times. There's no rehabilitation and correction.
No.
0. And like I said, and like it's scam on top of scam, man. So like even in the prison system, I've explained this before. So the states gets millions of dollars from the federal government in order to have these, rehabilitation classes. So like I can become a barber, right? In Ohio, if I go to prison, I can take a 2-year class and get my barber's license. The problem with that is that they won't let you take that class until your last 2 years of sentencing. And then at your 6 months to the door mark, they kick you out to a halfway house. So you don't get the license. So it's a big waste of money. Then they send you on your way with $75 and say, live your life. And is that the first thing you're going to do? Be able to go pay money to go back to school to get your last, 500 hours of work to get your barber's license? No. It's just a scam to bring money into the system. Somebody's taking money off the top along the way, just like with the OPI, Ohio Prison Institute. They make all the soap and shit for the Ohio prisons. It's the same system, but now you have the system over here that makes soap, selling that soap to these other prison institutions. So where does that money go? Who benefits?
And who determines who sets the price?
Right.
If you're that fucking incestuous, something's wrong through the gate.
Right.
Board members set the price and get the money.
Well, you can't bid on that. Say I had Freedom Ink Soap Company. I can't bid on that contract. That is solely a state contract.
Yes, I would believe that, yeah.
Is it because they're not allowed to make a outside profit from a state entity?
Well, no, because they have commissary.
So when I was down in Florida, we had everything was ran by the Bob Barker Institute.
Right. So Bob Barker does a lot of shit in Ohio too. So your sandals, your shower shoes are Bob Barker, some soaps and things like that. That's just in the door. That's cheap shit that they have to give to you. So it's indigent shit, right? That's the lowest quality, the lowest cost. It's like mil spec of the prison system.
Mil spec.
It's good. It's good enough you can take a shower, but it ain't great.
Right.
They should put that label. Use that label, prison spec.
Yeah, no doubt. But we've bought into the lie of freedom in the sense that you have a few people at the top ruling the rest of us through force and violence and threats of violence. And they do that through policing forces who they've convinced us since we were kids were our best friends, our buddies, our saviors. And they're not. We call these dudes heroes. So let's just pretend there was a shooting in Dayton a couple years ago. 26 people were shot. These people didn't have a gun on them because they were going into a bar, which makes it in Ohio, you cannot carry a firearm into a bar. It's illegal. Shooter shows up, kills these people. Then the cop shows up, kills the shooter. The cop's deemed a hero. The cop's the fucking villain because he would have arrested all 26 of them fucking people if they would have had a gun on them to protect themselves.
I thought in Ohio you're allowed to carry in a bar just as long as you're not drinking.
I think it has to be open, or if you're open carrying or something.
No, in Ohio, as far as I know, I mean, they could have changed the law in the last 2 years. I know somebody that got 18 months because they had a firearm in a bar.
How do
It
they
was
know?
literally-
though? Like who?
They didn't even get the first drink in.
What do they like? How could it like say you're carrying concealed in a bar?
Yep.
How could
How do you get caught?
how could you?
He printed, and an undercover cop happened, or a cop, off-duty cop happened to see it. When he leaned over the bar to talk to the bartender, he printed, and there happened to be a cop that was off duty sitting next to him. Called his buddies. Yeah, he 100% should have beat it. 100% should have beat it. He had a shitty lawyer. This is why you don't go to public defenders, guys. You will get
Public
fucked every time.
defenders.
Yeah.
Every time you'll get screwed, man. But we have to get everybody has to be equal. That's the only way that we will ever be free. Nobody can have any kind of perceived authority over you. And that starts to sleep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I just remembered I was going to show you the intro, the beginning of my bit, man.
So, in a system like that, who would control over like building new roads or stuff like that?
Hold on. Check this out. Hold on. Whoever. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
You're showing us the beginning
Hey,
of the
hold on.
video.
Check this out. This job today. I'm just going to do the intro, man.
No, you're good.
You're a cop.
Sir, they're in COVID right now. The buildings like this are shut down. It just
But no, it's not private. We welcome everyone.
Thank you, man. You said these offices are private.
They was told to let you know what you do not walk through the building with your phones out, taking pictures so you can report out the building.
How you doing? I do not know if this is the proper place. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
No, I'm trying to get an answer because I don't know.
Well, I think you know the question that I'm about to ask.
okay. You're in Indiana.
Yeah.
You have to have an appointment, okay?
Could I have that in writing? And is that what you guys came up with?
Yes, I will give that.
How you asking for her? I said, is that what you guys came up with?
Okay.
Can I ask the lady a question without you interrupting me and being
At
rude?
this point,
You were on the phone talking to city attorney. Yeah, and you're gonna return officer so and so.
What are they doing now?
I like that intro, man. That intro's badass. How'd you do that that graphic when it has you in the fire throwing the ball or whatever it is?
A buddy of mine did. I got no fucking idea. Just a friend.
Right.
So obviously, yes, I do. And he made it for me. And then I found later on, I kept it quiet for a long time because there was no music. Then later on, I found music and put somebody's voice in there. And I've been sticking with that for the last 3 or 4 years.
Right. I like it, man. Chris is my go-to guy when it comes to that stuff. He's helped me out a ton. Like when the Freedom Inc., all the when we was doing Freedom Inc. merchandise and stuff. I was calling him every other day, needing help, man. He'd help me out.
Chris Powers.
No, Chris right here. Chris Harris. He's on here right now.
Chris, all right. It's a guy named Chris Powers, man. He just helped everybody in the community, man.
So, Fletter John Bear not having a gun in a bar is not true. I've been a CCW since 2014 in Ohio. Okay, well, you're a CCW holder, but having I don't know the laws behind the CCW holder in a bar. Hold on, I'll get my wife to pull it up real quick. I'll read it. Christy, come here so I can use your phone, please. Chris, come here. I'm not 100% for a fact it's true because I have a buddy that did 18 months of prison for having a gun in a bar. Look up firearms in bars, Ohio, ORC.
What's the question?
Just put ORC firearms in drinking establishments or something like
I
that.
know. What was the question?
He's trying to say that I'm wrong about. I'm full of shit about.
No, there was a guy at the hotel that was arrested and they come there because of it. They ARC firearms in bars.
Yeah, and drinking establishments or liquor license or something like that. What is this? Permits to carry concealed firearms into businesses, establishments, restaurant bars. Okay, so with the CCW, you can carry into a bar in Ohio.
But you have to have the license.
Right, but
As long as you're not drinking.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't get that far into it. No person shall possess a firearm in any room in which any person is consuming beer or intoxicating liquor in a premises for which a D permit has been issued under Chapter 4303 of the Revised Code, or an open air arena for which a permit of that nature has been issued. So you can't carry, like in Ohio, we have open carry. You can openly carry anywhere you want, but you can't open carry in a bar.
Right. That's what it sounds like.
And he didn't have a CCW here, Christy, and he printed. And because they made, of course, it's a firearm, they made a big deal out of it. And he didn't go. They dropped the carrying a concealed weapon, and he went to prison for carrying a firearm in a bar. Which is insane. You as a human have a right to defend yourself. Just because you did something, if you are so dangerous that you can't protect yourself, then you shouldn't be on the streets. They shouldn't have let you out the last time. That's a sentencing issue, not a gun issue. But they compound all these ideals in our head, man. They do it through indoctrination. So like when my son was killed, people want to say, well, if he didn't have a gun, he wouldn't have killed your son. The fact he had a gun has nothing to do with him killing my son. Like if he was determined to kill my son, he would have done it regardless. You know what I mean? Like the guy that killed my son had the right to keep and bear arms. He didn't have the right to murder my son. It's two separate issues, but we're trained to compound these issues, and in the end,
I'm curious now about something about sentencing. What type of sentencing do you want to see?
Up to the family, up to the victim.
You would pick the emotional motherfucker, the ability?
Well, I mean, who's the debt to? If somebody kills my son, is the debt to the state?
I understand that philosophy, but I think the fact that these people's kid was just killed, the emotions that they are going through would overrule any fucking thinking and logic.
Well, I mean,
Maybe
I went to my son's, the guy that killed my son, I went to his sentencing, and I told him that basically he shouldn't even be going to prison. I said that.
I understand.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, there's going to have to be reasons. So any laws made, like a state law, is supposed to coincide with natural law. So if a state says that this crime carries this much time, it's not for you to be protected from the defendant. It's for the defendant and their due rights in the process of due rights, right? So there's got to be a limit. There's got to be a limitation there, but it has to coincide with natural law and the rights that you have. Can we be, can we shoot you in every joint? No.
Right. I understand that. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like to have the state, there's so many problems. It's hard to even talk about. So the criminal justice system we know now is unconstitutional in the sense that we never gave government the authority to create it. We're supposed to have community-based common law courts. And that's how it's supposed to be taken care of. But now you have, the prison industrial complex, which has to be filled by these criminal justice courts that completely fuck people. And anybody that's ever been arrested knows that the court system fucks you. If you committed, one crime, they'll say you committed 5 crimes to get you to cop out to 3.5 of them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's about money.
Illegal day one. Any motherfucker who actually wanted to change the system would have been fought that battle day one. You can't just pile on cases and make motherfuckers give up and plead to shit. That shit's immoral.
Right. Well, it's also a violation of their Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate themselves. I don't know where Joe went.
He's disappeared.
Yeah, you still there, Chris? Or Michael?
I'm still here.
I'm still here too. I'm just I got my fan going. It gets hot with this computer.
Oh no, you're good, man. You can turn it back on. We can still hear you. It's just a background noise. You can keep it on, brother. If you got to have it on in order to talk, man, keep it on. I'd rather hear your voice than hear that in the background. It's cool. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I just didn't know how loud it was coming over. So I do have a question with the whole. So do you think when people drink, they should be armed?
I think that
They shouldn't be able to make that choice.
They should be able to make that choice for themselves. I do understand where that bad things happen when people drink. They make bad decisions, But this goes back to being responsible for your actions. If you do something stupid, you kill somebody, you're going to pay the price. Freedom's dangerous, man, and people have to accept that.
So when I was originally arrested on my charge, I was beyond drunk. I was on Xanax, fucking whatever. Like, I should have been dead. A lot like your story. I just woke up, and as they were taking me to my cell, I saw a made bed, and I was like, huh, this is like a Holiday Inn. And I just fucking fell on it and went to sleep. Well, they don't make the bed for you in there. And, dude, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. And I don't think I should have had any control over anything, let alone a gun. Which I get what you're saying. It would have been my responsibility had I used it. But I think once you make that choice to say, hey, I'm gonna do something that's gonna take away the faculties of me being able to operate anything in a safe manner. I mean, there's some, I guess, maybe not a law.
My problem with that is I 100% get it, dude. I 100% agree with you to a certain extent. The problem is where does it stop? Who decides? Who decides it's too drunk? Who decides it's too impaired? Is having one beer too impaired? Is having your anxiety medicine being too impaired? Is taking that Percocet for hurting your back too impaired? Where does it end at? And that's the whole problem. It's not the problem that there probably is people that shouldn't have firearms. I'm not going to say that because I know where that door, opening that door where it leads to. And that's with anything. It's these good ideals like, people shouldn't have firearms when they're drunk. When you're drunk, you don't have the right to protect yourself.
No, you do.
All right. There's some people that can be completely so wasted they can't walk, but they can still tap, rack, bang. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it becomes subjective. But not only is it not subjective, now we've opened the door up. And then we also have people making decisions for other people. Just be free. You make the choice. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So under a Freedom Inc. utopian of freedom, all laws should not have any subjectiveness.
Well, I mean, any laws would have to coincide with natural law. Period. And the only laws that our government is supposed to make are supposed to coincide with natural law. And the only reason for those laws is for due process purposes for the defendant. It's actually for you to protect your rights as a defendant in case you were charged with one of these crimes. Other than that, we wouldn't have the laws and we'd just be hanging people in the street.
That's one thing I don't agree with. If somebody drops the charges, I don't feel the state should have the authority to pick them up.
Yeah, I don't either. And they started doing that because people would lose, people get mad, so like my wife gets mad at me, calls the cops and says I hit her and I never hit her. And then a month later we're back together and now she's wasted all that time with the police, the court systems, the states, whatever. But if we had a community-based system and my neighbors knew that sometimes my wife tripped the fuck out for no reason and got mad, they would just say, hey, come stay the night at my house tonight. Settle it tomorrow, and then the system would never be involved.
Do you think that maybe we, as a planet, as a country, we got too big to be a community anymore?
I think that our country is far bigger now when you're talking about population than it would be if we lived under a constitutional representative republic.
How so?
I don't think that, there's 330 million people in this country. How many people were here in the 1900s where you had to grow a garden, you had to grow meat, you had to barter for those things. How many people today would be here if not for the conveniences of technology?
You don't think we would have technologies in a...
Well, yeah, I do. I just don't think there'd be as many people. I mean, because when you had, when you knew that you had to do this much work in order to feed 3 people, when you're barely making it through the summers and winters, and adding an extra mouth may cost you all your lives because you all may starve in the end. You're not going to do that. It's the productive versus the unproductive again. You have people that are productive that work a job, that intentionally have 2 or 3 kids, that buy a home, that live a life, that retire. Then you have the ones that some people, not all, they're on welfare that pop out kid after kid after baby daddy, and they benefit from it because they get more food stamps or they get more of a welfare check or they get an extra bedroom on their Section 8. You know, it's I don't think that there would be 330 million people in this country if it would have kept on how it was supposed to be, even like pre-1900. So let's go back to the founding. Do you think there'd be 330 million people here today if everybody had to, if you didn't go out and tend to your garden and your livestock, you wouldn't eat? Do you think there would be 330 million people here today?
I think without the Federal Reserve, we would still have some kind of monetary system.
Right. Well, we should have a monetary system. It's supposed to be gold, gold and silver coins. Gold and silver has been money since the beginning of mankind. And
no, I understand that, but so in a republic, we would we make a big point on the community helping each other, right?
Right.
We shouldn't need the government's help. We have each other.
Don't disagree.
And a lot of things that when if you've ever been in the situation where you do need the help, one of the things that the child support office or welfare office or whoever is a list of like churches and stuff like that. Do you not think that the people would still find a way to game that system? I mean,
if you're talking about there's a voluntary system, people could game it. Not if it's community based. I mean, if you're talking communities, even my community, Forest Park, if we were still tight knit as we should be and hadn't had the wedges driven in between us, how many people within a 3 mile? You're talking short distances now. Now we know what happens throughout the whole country. Back in the early days before technology, you were talking people didn't know people that lived a mile and a half away, what they lived right there their whole lives. So we're talking close knit communities, close knit families. It would have to be that way in order for everybody to, benefit at the end. And I'm sure that somebody could game it. Yeah, I'm sure that somebody would. But they're gaming what you're doing voluntarily. They're not gaming what you're being extorted to do.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, like if you have a community, chipping in and helping, and you have churches or whatever that are volunteering this stuff. That what they're volunteering is being gamed but you are personally not being extorted. Now, if you've seen that happening, you can say, wait a second, man, these people are gaming us. I'm opting out. I'm not volunteering no. I'm not giving no more of my money. You can't do that right now with income taxes like that.
No, you can't.
I just think that, I think I understand what the intent was. I genuinely do.
The intent of what? The welfare state?
No, the intent of the men that founded the country when you're talking about freedom. And it doesn't involve authority. It doesn't involve extortion. You have to look at the jurisdictions. That the jurisdictions wasn't meant to be had. As I said before, we'd be the federal state of America. If the federal government could just create laws that were national sweeping laws, there was no purpose for the states.
Right.
We're 50 sovereign states in a union, and it's not that way no more. We're supposed to have minimal laws, maximum individual liberty, and they've taken all that shit away now, and now it's become rule of law, and we will rule you through laws and execution of those laws, and it just shouldn't be that way.
No, it shouldn't. I mean, but then again, we circle back to what do we do to fix it?
Right.
Fixed right now.
If I had one thing to do, and I think everybody already knows what I'm going to say, one thing.
Go take that picnic.
Excuse me?
Go take that picnic.
Well, picnics could work, but no. I would prefer to stay away from violence if possible until it was applied upon me. So I don't want to go out and start a war with anybody to be starting a war. But if somebody comes to our community and tries to harm us, then it's a moral act. It's justified.
Right.
But you're not even you will never ever see freedom as long as there's an authoritarian force above you that thinks that they can tell you what to do, even when you're not committing an immoral act. So, I've said it before: eliminate the police forces, let the welfare state fail. Yeah, it's going to suck. There's going to be some war. They're probably leading to some type of hybrid civil war, and I'm probably not going to make it out alive. Somebody will, and hopefully they take advantage of the freedom that was won, and they live their life and responsible for themselves. If everybody just took responsibility for their own lives and property, we wouldn't need as much government as we have today. It can be very small, very limited. Do the job we gave to it, and that's it. Instead of oppressing us, which has now become its full-time job.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I rode the Banshee today. I forgot who asked this question about how does it run under load. It ran like shit. But I took the air. See, I was supposed to run it with the airbox lid off with this mod and the jets and shit I ran it. I did. I tried to run it with the airbox lid on, and it wouldn't run. I took the airbox lid off, and it was pulling third gear wheelies as a stock Banshee. It's pretty fucking bad. The clutch, it was opening up so much that the clutch was slipping. So I got to pull the clutch cover off and do some adjustment work. Hopefully it needs adjusting. It doesn't need a new clutch. Even if it needs a new clutch, whatever. But the thing is freaking evil now. Hopefully my 14-year-old doesn't kill herself on it.
I do have one statement, and I actually just kind of thought of this after doing to others. Said, how so? Master has no say over my rights. I think just as much as people have an illusion that the government is their savior and the illusion of our freedom, I think people think they're, I don't want to say more free than they are, but I think we're lying to ourselves sometimes.
100% we are, man. You're not free.
And I think that's part of what is holding us back too, because people say, "Oh yeah, I'm free," but then they'll go renew their license.
Right. Well, I mean,
we're all guilty of it.
Right.
I think it's just all convenience.
It's the illusion of freedom, man. We've all been sold the illusion of freedom. I do it too. Like what happens if you don't get a license? I'm all for non-compliance, but in order for non-compliance to work, there has to be force to back that non-compliance. Meaning, okay, none of us are going to get driver's license, and when they pull one of us over for not having our cars registered, the rest of us are going to jump in and say, "You're not going to do nothing to this person. We're not going to allow it." It's unfortunate, but we are ruled by or else's.
Yeah. Did you see how they held that person? They kidnapped them or whatever, and were trying to get all the riot charges dropped.
No, I didn't see that. No, I didn't see that.
I can't remember where it was, but it was one of Tim Pool's videos.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I watched some of Tim Pool's stuff. Like if the title will catch me, I'll watch it. I'm not like a big watcher of Tim Pool. I do watch. Well, probably now I probably watch more of his stuff than anybody else's, just because I'm not watching YouTube like I used to. Man, I realized it was a disease. It was affecting my life. It was affecting my thought process. And I literally, like when I told everybody like, hey, these things are a disease, like I meant it. Like if I watch YouTube now, I'm watching Mountain Men. I'm trying to get through all the seasons of Mountain Men. Like I enjoy that shit, man. I think that, at this point, there's a lot of questions. Can it all be saved? I don't believe so. I think that if we're going to try to save what freedom we even have now, that we better be moving close together and guarding that jewel. Just my opinion, though.
Republic and their rights protected, democracy has to go. I'm just reading stuff in the chat.
No, you're cool.
But
yeah, democracy is evil. Democracy was never a good thing. The only time it was mentioned in any letters or anything that I have ever read was in a negative manner. I think Ben Franklin kind of said it the best, didn't he?
Yeah, but I also read something that kind of makes sense too, is that all these different levels of like governing are appropriate in a sense that they all have their place. So in your family, you're either a like it's you and your wife making decisions. So you're what would they call that? With like two ruling parties.
Well, you're the head of it,
Right.
and like I know.
then,
Go ahead. I'm
and
sorry.
then your community, like, your close friends, when you guys try to decide where you're going for dinner, you don't break out with congressional areas and saying, hey,
Right.
my vote's equal to this, blah, blah, blah. So you're a democracy at that point. And then as it gets larger and larger and larger.
But it's not a democracy, because if I choose not to go to dinner with you, I can opt out. If you decide you want to go to the Chinese joint and I say I'm going to the steak joint,
True.
I don't have to go to the Chinese joint because more people say we're going to the Chinese joint.
Right.
Democracy is when you're involved, whether you like it or not. Everybody has a vote on every issue. There is a place for government at all levels. There is a place for it. It is not authoritarian. It doesn't rule by force. It represents the people, and it protects the rights of the people at every level. And anything other than that is not acceptable, and anything other than that makes us slaves. I mean, I guess like when you're talking about are you free, what is slavery? In my mind, it's the theft of the means of one's production, right? So your labor is what theft of your labor. So income taxes, theft of your labor. You can go work, you can support your family, but you're going to pay us this. If you don't pay us this, we're going to come at you, guys with guns. We're going to send men with guns, and they're going to force you to pay it, or we're just going to steal it out of your bank account now, since the technology's evolved to that we can't.
I hate taxes.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the simplest way to put what government is government is just violence.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, the most simplest form.
Well, the problem is that when it comes to that is that we don't enforce our rule on government. We are governed by consent. So that government must represent us. If it doesn't, it must face the repercussions for that. But we can't impose those repercussions because why? Go arrest Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying?
We don't have an equal force.
Right. Because they've created all these forces that not only protect them, but oppress us. So it's two-sided.
So, Mike, I actually had a question. You said you were in the military.
Yes, sir.
Did the topic of, how would you say it? Incompetent or unconstitutional commands ever come up in topic among your peers?
No, that's something they never talked about.
I don't necessarily mean with like your leadership and stuff like that, but say like just your small unit.
No. I mean, everybody is it's so different now. Nobody's on the same page. Most people are there for college, I would say. But I mean, the Constitution is just more of like an oath to people. It's something they tell themselves they're doing, but
right. It's part of the process. It's just it's like me taking an oath to, I don't know, some book that I've never read, or just some ideal that I've never thought of. How can I take an oath to it if I don't know it, if I'm not aware of what it says or what it represents, or what my duty is even to it? It's just part of that repetition. What's beating your brain more than the Constitution is what? Following orders.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there should be a sense of
military. It's literally beat into you in the military, ain't it? In boot camp. I mean, that's kind of what they beat in your head, right? You're going to follow this order, you're going to do it correctly, or you're going to run. You're going to follow this order. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's just easy to see if you watch like any footage or see any footage of. I mean, military right now, they're all wearing masks. They're all, they're being coerced into getting the vaccine.
Right. My cousin's good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they can't come home or leave unless I don't know how. I mean, I think it's different for every unit, but some people are told they can't come home unless they get the vaccine. I mean,
yeah, I think other world leaders. I think right now is probably we've been more in danger than we have been in the last 100 years of having a couple world powers coming together and saying they're fucking weak right now. I mean, you don't see like Russia and Japan and China and all them espousing to these woke ideologies of just placating the babies. I got a guy at work that's kind of like that. He went to my boss and said I wasn't cheerful enough when I said hi to him in the morning.
What?
Yeah.
Did you punch him in the mouth?
No, I wanted to keep my job.
Right, but like those are the people that didn't get punched in the mouth. And like my kids, when they were in school, they're homeschooled now, but like they're so hard on like being a man. Like as a man, even as a young boy, there's certain ways that you need to settle shit.
Yeah.
Just so it teaches you how to be a man. You know, it not only, and being a man isn't always necessarily violence. Being a man is knowing when to keep your mouth shut sometimes. You know,
Right.
like, or knowing when your opinion is wrong, or knowing when you need to accept other ideals, or just whatever. Like all that shit's been lost, dude. It's been lost through technology. Technology could be a very good thing, be used in great ways to save people's lives. That's awesome. It's also been a demon, man. That's ruined families and marriages and like, you know, now everybody's like, well, I Googled it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you ask them something, well, Google says this.
I graduated from Google College and I'm Google educated.
Right. Like ask Google if it lies. Ask Google if it lies. Listen to what it tells you. Like we did that experiment the other day. Christy did. Like seriously, ask Google. Does Google lie?
See what it says.
And it says Google does not give answers.
Do you lie? Nothing.
It says,
or no, QR. I mean, I don't see an answer from Google, but I do
lie.
It said something about.
What Christy did, it said Google does not give definitive answers or something.
Therefore, it can't lie.
It gives other people's information.
Related information.
Therefore, it cannot lie. So
relevant results.
It tells you what it wants you to think.
Results.
What it wants you to think.
Or this search result right here. Google has been proven. Oh,
right.
Okay. This guy actually, I thought it said it hasn't.
But like, so like I told my son, I have more information sitting in my hand right now, at my fingertips, than the entire generation of men, women, and children than the entire last generation of people had in their heads in the entire world. I have more information than was in all their heads sitting in my hand right now. That's a dangerous thing, man, because you think that every answer you get, especially when you consider confirmation bias, is the correct answer.
That's what a lot of people want, is just confirmational bias so that they can stay in their warm little bubble. The best part about that kid going to my boss saying that I wasn't cheerful enough when I said hi, it all stemmed because I told him he wasn't like taking the initiative.
Right.
Like, we're all supposed to be equal workers when we do the fiber splicing, and he was acting more like a helper.
Right.
And I was trying to explain to him that, you know, here shortly the boss is going to expect you to go out on your own and do a job, not ride along with us and set up our table and splicers and shit like that. Well, a couple weeks prior to him going to my boss, he was telling me about how all these snowflakes at his mom's work went to her boss and said she was too mean. And he was so, like, he had zero self-awareness to realize he literally did the same thing that he was complaining about.
All right. I mean, there's probably a lot of reasons for that. Like, I enjoy when my friends tell me to shut the fuck up, or they tell me I'm wrong or something like that, right?
Because or just bust your balls.
Right. Well, not only bust my balls, but it lets me know, like, what I'm doing is really wrong. Like, when we was in Columbus talking, and we were talking to those commie dudes, I wish Travis would have fucking, like, nudged me and said, shut the fuck up. Because I got so mad that I was worried about trying to get my, you know, at least trying to say what I wanted to say. And then at one point he pissed me off so bad I was going to punch him in the mouth. But I think Travis would have been able to handle it far better because he is far calmer than I am.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on, like, some people are willing to put up with a lot of shit. Like, I have a line, you cross that line, like I will normally warn you first. Hey, you are about to feel the wrath of my right arm.
I don't have much patience.
I've been working on it, trying to get better. I have a really bad problem interrupting, talking over people. And I think a lot of people do today. I've genuinely been trying to work on it. Patience, I've been trying to work on that. But that dude in Columbus, I was going to punch him. If he would have smiled one more time, I was going to beat the brakes off of him. I was.
But then you did good last night.
Huh?
But then you did real
Yeah,
good
then last night I went on that live stream for hours. I was really calm and collective and let them call me bitches and my wife hoes and shit. But listen, dude, I wish that video was up because it was fucking hilarious, man.
So they didn't post it?
No, he don't post his live streams. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but a lot of them he takes down. So it wasn't like it was just because it was that one. It's normal for him to take them down. But man, it was funny. And what was really funny about it, I thought, out of everything that happened, what bothered me the most was that he calls himself a constitutionalist, but then there's certain things that he doesn't know. And that falls back onto the self-proclaimed patriots. I claim to be something, so I am. So in the end, the communists claim to be patriots, and they are. And now this group is following them just because they say they are patriots. They're not actually, you know what I mean? Like, it's really weird shit. Maybe it's just in my head. But I believe that if you're doing something that is actively against the Constitution or actively against freedom, then you can't be a constitutionalist. You can't say you're a constitutionalist and say that I'm obligated to feed somebody that can't feed themselves.
No.
In my opinion, I mean,
do you think we should have the responsibility of being a community taking care of our indolent, like the ones that honestly can't, not the lazy ones, but the ones that like physically can't take care of themselves?
Well, I mean, that's a long road though. Like, okay, so today's world is way different than how it's supposed to be. So if let's say Nick had a kid that was physically disabled or mentally ill or something, and Christy and I never took part in community functions. We never helped anybody out. We never did nothing. And then we died. And for some reason, our family, meaning our parents, our sisters, our brothers, couldn't take care of this child. It would be up to the community, but the community wouldn't be obligated to do anything. Now, if Christy and I were helping everybody out in the community, somebody's house burns down, we're the first ones to jump in to help rebuild it. Somebody's, has a medical issue, we're the first ones to jump in to help. We're always helping the community, then the community is going to be apt to help if something like that was to happen.
Right.
So it still boils down to being responsible. And really the golden rule, dude. Treat others as you want to be treated.
Right.
We don't need any more laws than I'm not like a Bible thumper by any means. By any means. Never claimed to be. I think I've pretty much stated that.
No, but the Ten Commandments pretty much sum it up.
Right. Ten Commandments and the golden rule. That's it. That's all we need.
Yeah.
I'm not for the death penalty, because I think that is something right. It's a permanent solution to a problem that may not be. I mean, there's been people that were clearly innocent that have been executed. Their lives were taken from them because of an imperfect system that's been put in place.
Yeah, and that's like one of the biggest arguments, I guess, of like the whole pro-choice and pro-life arguments. A lot of them are like, oh, well, you believe in executing people, but like you don't believe in abortion or whatnot. But even as somebody that carries a gun every day, dude, I hope to God I never have to use it.
Right, and it's that people shouldn't carry a gun hoping they have to use it. You're not carrying that gun because you make a choice. You're carrying that gun because of somebody else's choice that you don't know when they're going to make. Right. And maybe they'll never make it. If they never make it, you'll never have to use it. And I hope that you live your life and never have to use it.
I hope so too.
But you have the right. You should have the right to have that protection if you need it, no matter what.
What MOS were you, Mike?
0311.
What branch were you in?
Marine Corps.
Okay. I know more about I tried getting in the Army for a couple of years, but they denied me.
for it's always for something very minor. Usually, my older brother was gonna enlist, but something very stupid got in the way of it.
Well, that's because they have people, jumping up and down to join today because it's been sold to them as this great thing. You make money for college, and you can buy a new Camaro or a new Hellcat, and back in like the NOM era, people were like, "Fuck this."
This was back in like 16 or 2005.
Right.
I tried to join.
I was literally driving down. I remember driving down 32 Hill going into Owensville when I heard about 9/11, and because of back in the day, if you had gotten in trouble, they'd give you options. You can go to the military and straighten your life up, or you can go to jail and straighten it up. Right?
They don't do that.
They don't offer that shit no more.
They don't need people as bad, probably.
Right, and that's why.
No, but I think that would maybe toughen some people up or act as a catalyst to lead a better life.
What if it was? Do you think that they could fulfill the military's needs? And well, I know they could if it was like a constitutional military. But even as today, if only people that had broken the law, and they said, okay, you have an option. If your sentence is 5 years, you can go serve, 5 years in the military, or you can go to prison. Do you think that would fulfill the military's needs, and do you think that they could still accomplish whatever goal it is the military has today?
No, they would definitely need people that, I'm not going to, just because I've been convicted of a crime, I'm not going to sit here and say everybody's not necessarily deservable of redemption, but not everybody can handle it when it's given to them.
Right. Well, if you fail, then you go to prison.
But then you go to military prison.
Are you talking about fail boot camp?
Yeah.
No, or like do something wrong.
Well, yeah, if you do something wrong, you then go to military prison. But if you're sentenced, the judge looks at you and says you can go to 5 years in a state penitentiary, you can go serve 5 years in the military. I'm not even saying I'm for this. It's just like a what if. Do you think that the role of the military as known today could be fulfilled just from that? I do.
I mean, whatever the prison population is right now.
Right.
And
well, there's a lot more
probably
people.
2/3 of that would probably pick the military over prison.
There's a lot more people that are just on probation today. What you said, probation or the military. Like military would have been 100% completely changed my life.
Oh yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
What I think it is there are some people, there are some felons who are in the military. They can't even own a gun, buy a gun outside of the military, but they can carry one to serve the state. But I think those people, they don't want in the military. I feel like they're
in 2005
more free thinkers in a way. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a way to put it, like more impulsive, that if they see someone doing something wrong, they do something about it.
Right.
Rather than a rule follower who would obey whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Fuck DSS wanted in. I just posted the link for you, man. Just tap on that link, then you have to exit out of YouTube. Go back to the Streamlab. It'll be taking a second to get on here.
What does DSS stand for?
I have no clue. I was actually going to ask the same thing.
So, do you think we should have to earn our right to vote, or by proxy of just being born in America, we have the right to vote?
Me?
Yeah.
I think that voting is not a right.
So you should have to earn it through some form?
Right. Well, I understand that maybe being landowning is not the optimal answer, but if you are landowning, it gives you're the one that puts, or you're the one that has skin in the game. So my house payment's $690 something dollars a month, almost $700 a month.
What if you earned it through service?
I think if you have any ties to government, it should be a conflict of interest to where you shouldn't be able to vote. If that makes sense. I mean, if you're serving government, you're going to vote for what's going to do you best. So,
The
like, if
same
I'm
for the
cop-
farmers, though. They're going to vote for what does them best.
yeah, but I mean, we're not paying for farmers though with our tax money.
Yeah, we are. There's tons of subsidies that pay for farming.
It says Haywood. Haywood, are you fuck DSS? Somebody's coming in called Haywood.
That's a different guy.
Is it a different person?
Yeah. Different person.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have all the answers, man. I wish I did. I definitely know this. If you're relying on other people to ensure your survival, you should not have a vote what happens to their money. I do know that. I mean, if I'm a homeowner and I'm the only person that has my money is what's being used to do all these things, then I should be the only one that has a say on what happens, right? It's like, all the homeowners here where I live in Cincinnati, and Michael in Wisconsin decide on what happens with our money here, how we're going to spend it. Matter of fact, we're going to send him some of it because he says so. Like, it makes no sense. The voting system today makes no sense whatsoever.
It's not going on.
Yes. Hey, hang on a second, Haywood, and I'll get you in, dude. Hang on 1 second. What's up?
What's up, man?
What's your name?
My name's FDSS. Everybody calls me FDSS. As you can tell, my name's obviously a little bit longer than that, but there's a lot of people that.
What does the DSS stand for?
The Department of Social Services, but as a foster care child, you're told we're going to DSS. You're not told we're going to go visit DCYFS or DCFS or CPS. We're going to go to the building, DSS, right? We'll swing by here and pick up this paperwork. You got to sign this, do that. And you're like, what? Sign what? Oh, it's for you to go to the doctor. And you're just like, okay, cool. And you don't realize you're signing yourself back into the system, but that's what they told you. It's for you to go to the doctor, man. You got to fill out this form.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm against foster care and like group homes and stuff like that. They're basically just miniaturized prisons for kids.
Yeah, my youngest daughter, she's got cerebral palsy, but she, thanks to my ex, was taken into foster care system in Florida. She was placed with a family that was for medically needy foster kids. It took me 1.5 years to get her out of the system.
Now, that is a separate classification. That would be considered level 2 therapeutic, where there's a medical need for increased level of care or something like that. They would typically get paid more for her being in custody and therefore would fight harder to keep her in that level of custody. To whereas you would be like, I don't need your help. Just let me have my daughter back home. They'd be like, well, she needs like a 24-hour care nurse or this, that, or the third. And you can't provide that, so you don't get her back.
Now, I do have to say the family that got her, Carrie and her husband, Mike, we're still friends today.
Level 2 therapeutic foster homes, they do, if they're a good one. I've seen 3 of them, and out of the 3, I only approved of 1 of them for being a good foster placement. And like, that's not a bad ratio, right? 1 out of 3 being somewhat good for the child.
That should be better than that. It should be 3 out of 3.
It should be 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3. I agree. But the thing is, like, that the two that was the worst for the child was a week long and then like 6 weeks long, or a month and a half, 2 months long. So the contact was limited with the lesser family, and the child went into the 3rd home and just excelled. Like, that was a good placement for them. It was perfect for them. Like, the parents was cool with them. They was cool with the child. The child got to go to work, got his all that shit, and it was some fucking shit, man. But I do know that classifying someone with a therapeutic disability will get them more of a check for foster care, because that dings all kinds of fucking governmental bells for extra money.
Yeah, and that's all Florida is.
And then how does that affect that child in the future? So if you are deemed what you just said, I'm sorry, I didn't remember exactly what you just said.
Level
but if you're
2 therapeutic,
right, if you're level 2 therapeutic as a child, how does that affect you when you become 18? Like, if you want to buy a firearm, if you want to work
how about this one? I'm gonna break it down. As a 5-year-old, how does it affect you? All they gotta do is put you on Ritalin, and now you're level 2 therapeutic. Put you on Adderall, and boom, you're level 2 therapeutic. You're ADHD. You need special care.
So would it be a better choice if the community, decided voluntarily to take you in and raise you.
Well, that would be how children grow, right? They learn from everyone around them, their environment. Well, in the environments provided by the government, a level 2 therapeutic foster care child has to be watched 24/7. So, like, in order for them to go outside, even if they're 16, right? They just want to go outside and ride bikes in the driveway or shoot basketball. They have to be under 24-hour care, right? They can't just go off and wander off with whoever up the street and play with other kids. So they're isolated. They're shell shocked. They're typically medicated for unnecessary reasons. So, like, all you got to do is call them ADHD or ADD, put them on Ritalin or Adderall, and boom, you get more money for them in foster care as a social worker, right? And then, like he was asking, how does it affect them when they turn 18? Well, there was always ADHD. There was this, there was that. So they'd send them to a shrink who would send them to get medicine to say that they was hyper, right? And then, boom, they're labeled for life as being the kid that takes, legalized meth, or the kid that couldn't pay attention in school, so he's an idiot.
Did you want me to go to bed?
Yeah, I mean, there's well, like in Ohio, for just as an example, let's say you was to have a firearm. You turn 18, you have a firearm, you buy a rifle, and they find that out about you that you've been on that drug. You are then under firearms disability because you're in danger or you are drug dependent.
Well, that would be classifications for different medicine. Like, say you broke your arm, right? And you got guns in the house, and they gave you some sort of pain medicine. Now you're disqualified from having a gun in your house just because you take the pain medicine.
Right. So, like, they dictate who can and cannot own firearms. I was just curious, like, as a foster child, if you're a foster child and you go into foster care, they
just because you're in foster care, no, that would not necessarily. Now, it would put you in a lot of red flags in the systems, right? But it wouldn't necessarily automatically make it to where you couldn't have a firearm. Now, by the time you're 16 and you run away from school one time, or you get caught skipping school and they've got you on probation until you're 27, I mean, then you can't have a firearm. But that's the long game for them to get you in the system and keep you there.
Right. And there's a lot of foster people that were. I've been locked up with a lot of people that were foster kids somehow involved with the. They call it CPS here.
CPS is the most common term, right? There's a direct correlation between the prison population and foster care. I don't know the exact number offhand, but I know it's pretty high.
Now, a lot of these bigger YouTubes say that there's a direct correlation from not having a father in the home to being more apt to sent to prison. Do you think that's a similar correlation with the foster care,
or? I'm not going to speak on that part, but I will say I didn't have a dad, and I'm not in prison.
Well, it's not guaranteed. It's just saying that, like, if you want to be more successful, don't have kids before marriage, graduate high school, and have a father in the home. They say that that's what makes more successful children.
Statistically, children who are in the foster care system have a problem with relationships and things like that. There is correlations to all this math, but the same as to being divorced, like being a child of divorce, right? Things like that. There's a lot more factors to it. So it's more of the factors of what happens to the child, like, in its lifetime, to what defines it. But just being in foster care increases the chance of that child going to prison by X amount of time, because they wind up, and it's not medically proven, but it's something like a chip on their shoulder towards authority, or a rebellious streak, or they don't get loved, and they don't formulate appropriately.
Let me call it.
You're cutting out real bad, bud. What's up, Michigan Watch?
Who's talking?
Okay, I don't know. I can hear.
Hey, not much, bud. I'm just trying out your new thing here. This is something new to me.
It's new to me too. I just learned how to do it today on my phone. Anyway, pretty neat though. I think that everybody has a lot to add to the conversation. So let's have it. What are we going to do to fix this country? Where do we start? What's the plan of I don't want to say attack, not meaning attack physically. What do we do? How do we do it? How do we fix the foster care system? How do we fix the prison system?
To be honest, we have to repeal a lot of the progressions that they've allegedly made to basically you start looking at their budgets, right? Every year they've got to run out of money 3/4 of the way in so they can beg for more money to keep them afloat, right? So if you look at it, it's been a steady expansion. No matter what the birth rate or it's just continuously growing. So it's like a parasite. What do you do with parasites? You remove them. Now, if you take away, we're going to say you take away all of the publicly funded organizations, group homes, foster homes, go back 200 years. Who took in the misfortuned, orphaned children back in the day?
Church.
The church would step up and do that, and they might collect donations or whatever. They might do it blood, sweat, and tears, however they had to do it, but they would do it. They wouldn't leave a kid out on the street. Now, let's say there wasn't a church in this particular town or neighborhood and someone's parents died in a fire and they managed to drag the child outside before they fell over dead, right? The child's okay, but both the parents are dead, and there was no one left in that town to take care of them. Typically an elder woman, someone that had already raised children, would take that child in and help raise it, right?
Or a family that couldn't have kids.
A family that couldn't have kids, someone that had already raised kids and they had the empty nest syndrome, something like that. We didn't need to pay 17 people to look after 2 kids for 24 hours a day. We don't need to give them full-time salaries on part-time work.
Right. So we all know the money, no matter what level of government you're talking about, no matter what it is, and it has to do with government, the money needs to be removed.
If the funding was gone, there would not be as many people willing to do bad things to hurt people.
Right. So we need to go back to minimal government, maximum individual liberty.
And maximum looking out for thy neighbor, like do unto others as you would unto you. Like basic, like Hammurabi's Code was the law for hundreds of years. Our Constitution's only been around for a couple hundred years, right? And it was somewhat fair because if you could read, right, and most people could back then, you could go to the middle of the town square, whatever town you was in within that jurisdiction, the law was written in stone, like actual fucking stone.
What did you call it?
Hammurabi's Code. Now there was some unjust shit about it, right? But it was somewhat fair because if you could read, you could read the language, speak the language, you could go into the middle of town and read the law written in stone.
Is that where the term "written in stone" came from, or the phrase?
Possibly. It's very possible that whoever was talking about that when they first coined that phrase was thinking of Hammurabi's Code, which was typically a pillar in the middle of all town squares with the actual laws written in it, chiseled into it in stone.
Right.
Or
I think Michael jumped out.
It could have been the 10th Commandment as well. I mean, that's another famous stone carving incident.
Michael, I think, went to bed.
Oh, Daddy, my bad, Mike. I'm sorry, man. Have a good night, brother. What's up with you, Michigan Watch? How you doing, brother?
Not too bad, bud. But yeah, it's written in our hearts. I mean, the 10 Commandments is written upon our hearts. I mean, that's why you got a conscience. That's why you know when you're doing something wrong, and when you do something right. And when you see somebody hurting, you're going to take care of them. I mean, you're going to help them out as much as you can.
Right. Today's logic is you won't, though. Today's logic is government needs to steal from you. They need to point a gun at your head so they can help those people better.
Nope. We don't need government.
Did you see how LAPD pointed a gun at someone's head to help the community and then managed to blow up said same community?
Yeah, I was just talking about that earlier, man. The fireworks ordeal.
Now, how does this guy manage to keep him safe in his garage, right? And then they come around for a couple hours and manage to blow up the whole... Man.
17 people were injured from that, man. 10 cops and 7 civilians.
I mean, shit. The only way you can make that better is to overlap that video with the cop and a fake fucking Bud Light saying, "Hold my beer."
Right. I mean, and it just proves the point that government, okay, was fireworks illegal there? Yes. Should they be illegal? I mean, that's back to personal choice. You let off a firework that burns down somebody's home, you're now responsible for burning down that person's home. It all comes back to personal choice, man, and responsibility for your own actions, responsibility for yourself.
Exactly. I mean, We don't need a bunch of rules and stuff, it's just go back to the common law. If there's no victim, there's no crime. So, I mean, everybody's accountable for themselves. If you can't conduct yourself in society, then I guess society is going to remove you.
In some people's eyes, that's down the road of the National Socialist Party or the Nazis.
Well,
I was called a Nazi yesterday because I suggested that.
No, I call that the Wild West. It's like if you don't conduct yourself right, you're going to get shot.
Well, an
Or
armed
beat 'em.
society is a
Or
polite
wrong.
society because, God made everyone and Colt made them all equal. I mean, I'm not really a big religious discussion person, but I can spout off a couple of little things here and there that'll make you actually think.
Right. Well, I think that I don't think that necessarily when you say you have to be more specific. So when you say community will remove you, that doesn't actually mean killing you. I mean, you can make people miserable enough to where they can't buy food in the community, they can't buy alcohol, they can't get nobody will barter with them in order to remove that person from the community where they will go somewhere else.
Exactly.
But people are so worried about you enacting force on them that they support the force that's now enacted on them by government.
It's basically like what they do with the Amish. They shun them, and when they shun them, they're pushed away.
It's essentially trespassing them.
Exactly.
Sorry, I've been doing too much study on legalese, man. Sometimes I fucking spout that shit off in my sleep.
So Twiggy Bones says, and this is a new thing. If you guys haven't read it, you need to go read it. The National Strategy for Counterterrorism. Twiggy Bones says, I've been trying to spread word of freedom to my family. Turns out I could be turned in for a potential terrorist or extremist. And that's true. They're now passing laws. They started out these extreme risk protection orders, was turned into red flag laws in some states. Now it's going nationwide. The president of the United States said that if your family or friends is a possible extremist, you need to call the FBI.
Actually, everyone on here is.
Congress.
We're all on their list.
Congress or the Senate, one of the two had something to say about some of that shit to the ATF earlier. So, I mean, I've got a little faith in the Dog and Pony Show, but it's only because they provided really, really fucking good peanuts.
Right, but then like if you look at that though, what authority does Congress actually have? Is the ATF a constitutional agency? I would say no.
Essentially the Constitutional Congress was essentially telling the ATF to back down on several hot topics that's been in the news lately. CRS, he covers the gun tube community stuff. Well, I've been following him and a bunch of other gun tubers, and that's how I met you. Like, that's honestly how this all came to be. And the only reason I'm speaking to you today is because you happen to come across someone else's channel that I happen to frequent to some degree, and I recognize you, and that's why I jumped up on the panel. I normally wouldn't have went to that place and jumped up there like that without a good reason, and you gave me the good reason, man. Don't get disheartened with what happened yesterday, and don't let it drag you down. It was literally, I won't say you was put in a hot seat and you was being interrogated by like 60 people, but at the end of the day, man, it's all words, man.
Oh, that's cool, man. Like that dude didn't buy. I thought that shit was funny, man. Because when people start attacking, when they start spouting and attacking things that like they don't know my wife, you know what I'm saying? Like I know that, but when they default to that or default to, the big thing lately is my record. So I'm a felon. So the big thing lately is that they, no matter what I say, it's you're a felon. That's their whole argument.
That's because they're judging.
Right. Well, it totally dismisses my point without having a point or even a foundation or anything. It's just you're a felon, so I don't need to listen to you. So you realize, and like here's what I tell them guys, like you realize the men that founded this country were extremists by definition. They were terrorists by definition. If caught, they would have been equal to what a felon is today and probably given the death penalty.
They'd have probably been put in Gitmo.
Right.
Oh, wait. They didn't believe in Gitmo, so, I mean, they didn't have that around back then.
Right. my point is that you praise these people for found in this country, and then you look down on me because, for whatever reason, I now have taken on a societal, I don't know, label, I guess is what it would be called, based off of actions that may or may not even be actions. I mean, there's a lot of people that are felons today, and I'm a true believer in this, that didn't commit the crime they were accused of, but they were put in a position where pleading guilty to a crime they didn't commit was the lesser of two evils. You go to trial. I've been a defendant in a jury trial, and it's scary sitting there for days looking at these 12 people, knowing that your life lays in their hands.
The thing about that is that a lot of people, even if they've pled guilty, especially in some of these very serious cases, 20 years later, we get the technology or their fucking case finally comes up for the testing or whatever, and then they're found innocent.
Right.
But at the time, the entire town was willing to burn them at the fucking stake, pitchfork and all, torches and pitchfork style. And then none of these people go back and realize how much damage and harm that they cause in this person's life by trying to burn down the fucking this, that, or the third, or the so on to try to get to them and accuse them of something they have no knowledge of.
Well, look at how many prosecutors today. So there's a lot of people on death row, a lot of people doing life sentences that have petitioned the courts to do DNA testing. Since this has been coming on since the 80s, since DNA testing started, and these prosecutors are still fighting from these tests happening. If it was really about justice, if it was really about who committed a crime, they would promote this testing. Hey, this dude had this case in 1980. This test is now available. This will be definitively say if he was there or not. Why wouldn't they want that definitive answer? Because it's not about justice. It's not
about their
right
statistics.
Right. It's about that conviction. They don't want to look at it like, I put an innocent man in jail. They'd rather leave an innocent man in jail than for somebody to look at them and say, you put an innocent man in jail.
Oh, no. No. Even worse. They killed an innocent man. There's been people that died, and then their cases got examined after they died, or someone else came forward, some DNA test was done. The person was executed by the state for something they didn't do.
Look at that shit with Cosby.
Yeah. Oh my God, man.
Like, that was a complete miscarriage of justice. And I mean, whether he's guilty or not, dude, they should not have treated him like that.
I didn't follow that case, so I can't speak on it.
What exactly happened?
So what happened was they had one DA who said, look, there's not really enough proof to go after him, and was talking to the victim and said, but if you go to him in civil court, you'll get some justice, you'll get some money out of him, and I'll go on record saying that we won't persecute him legally, and then therefore that will waive his Fifth Amendment right so that he has to testify at the civil court. Well, that DA either didn't get elected the next year or, well, no, actually it was like 10 years later or something like that. And the people who came in after him were like, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to prosecute him now. And so, like, they weren't allowed to use what he said in the civil law against himself because it's self-incriminating, and it automatically didn't give him the right to the Fifth Amendment. And basically, they went back on their word as a.
Well, they didn't technically go back on their word. What they did was they quit so someone else could go back on their word for them.
Yeah, but
make them complicit in the RICO conspiracy.
The problem being, though, is they still represented the same entity that gave him that option of dealing with it in the civil court. And as an entity, that you can't have one DA says, "Oh, we're not going to prosecute this person," and then you go live your life for 10, 15 years. And then all of a sudden, some new DA comes in and says, "Oh, hey, by the way, you're going to prison for the rest of your life." I mean, you're not fighting the individual; you're fighting the entity, the system. Yeah,
you're fighting the system.
And the word of the actor of that system was supposed to be bond. The word was supposed to have been bonded. It was supposed to carry weight.
Right, but they went back on their word as a system.
he represented the system. He made an agreement while representing said system. Then when his position was changed to someone else, they negated that agreement between him and the system. But like, here's the truth of it. When Cosby was charged with those crimes, he lost the case, and it's the truth with any one of you. The government has an unlimited number of funds. If it doesn't have the funds, it'll pretend like they're there and keep writing checks to prosecute you. Right. After they take everything you own, they'll take your bank accounts. Like in my case, they not only took everything we owned, all of our bank accounts, all the money we had saved, all the cash we had. They froze my parents' bank accounts, so they couldn't help us out either. Because I had sent money to them 6 months prior. You don't win. The system is the just. Well, not like you ever heard that it's the just us system, and you're not included in that. It's the just them system, and that's true.
Well, it's just us police that have rights higher than every other human being on the face of the planet, right? Just us judges, right. Just us DAs.
Right. Yeah, right. I agree with all that, man. So we need to, as a society, people need to grab the balls, be responsible for themselves, and we need to eliminate that. I have no use for the police. Zero, none.
I don't have any need.
As everybody knows, my son was murdered by the police. I still had no use for the police then. If my son was killed by somebody and I had no use for the police then or now, why do you have a need for them?
Yeah.
You know, and somebody's going to say, well, the 85-year-old.
You're going to find out.
Somebody's going to say,
you're going to find out here soon why you don't want to have nothing to do with the police with the second lockdown.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the second lockdown's coming.
Oh, it's coming. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to go on in the UK by start.
They already started.
July 12th, and they're running the variant as that India crap, which is nothing but hay fever. And that's how they're going to run it. And they're already starting it here. They're starting it everywhere. But this is supposed to be a permanent lockdown.
Until people, I don't see a way to fix anything if we're not, somebody dropped out. I think it was Haywood.
Yeah, he said, or no, DSS said he was going to chat.
Okay. I don't see a way to fix any of this, dude, unless we're all close together. You know, there's so many people in this country. The few who just want to be left alone are so far apart that we cannot be left alone on our own. If they came and kicked my door in tonight, there's nothing you two could do to stop it. Even if I was able to hold them off for hours, there was nothing you two could do to stop it. But if we lived, I'm not saying even in a community that we could do anything to stop it, but I think we'd have a better fucking chance than we have now. They're coming for all of us in the end. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, might not even be next year, but they are coming. And the announcement by the president saying that, I think, sets that in concrete, that they are coming. If you won't stand there and say, yes, government, I'm a slave to you, you have complete authority over me, they are going to fucking hang you. In the end, is what's going to wind up happening.
It's gonna happen. They're coming. And if we don't band together, we're all gonna hang separate.
Right. So how do we do that though? Living so far apart. We have to we have to move closer together. That's the only.
Well, we can't be all together neither, because then that's just one big target.
Right, but I mean, if there's multiple communities, though, we was talking about it earlier. Like, if you're not familiar with the Sovereign Village Project, he is a guy in Tennessee who, that is fed up with the tyrannical rule, and he just wants to live his life and to be left alone. And if he's in, I forget what county he's in down there, but we start a community a county over, and somebody else starts a community a county over. If we can fix a state, that's our best bet to go at this point. There's no fixing the whole. People are worried about the flag and the whole and the Union and the United States, all that shit. That shit's over with. It's done. We're gonna have to start working at the state level. For example, Missouri and SAPA. I don't agree with SAPA. I've never supported SAPA. But if they give sap a teeth, I will then support what they're trying to do. Saying that we're not going to help the feds enforce laws doesn't mean the feds are not going to be enforcing those laws still, and they are. So hopefully,
well, I'm trying to bring Michigan back together, and it's tough. I mean, because we got a bunch of libs that are moving into Michigan now from the other states, especially getting a lot of people from Chicago. And of course, they all have their hair dyed all different colors, and they let you know who they are.
Ain't
nothing wrong with it.
I used to dye my hair.
Ain't nothing wrong with it, but it puts a target on your back, and it lets you know who you are.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that, man. I mean, I used to dye my hair all different colors. I mean, when Christy and I met, my hair was what was it when we met? Red or green? I mean, I've had red hair, green hair, blue hair, purple hair. I just think that we can't judge people by the way they look. I don't think it's their people's actions. I think I don't know. But
I don't know. Well, if you've been that crazy, I guess, and whatever.
Well, I mean, it's not crazy. It's just, I don't know why. I couldn't even tell you why I did it, brother. I felt the need to dye my hair red at one time. But we put these people in these columns, like libs, for example. In my opinion, the conservatives are more of a danger to freedom than the liberals are. At least the people that claim to be liberals will tell you the issues they have. The ones who are conservative, who will support, like Trump, as an example, do far more damage because they don't understand what they're actually supporting. They're supporting everything they claim to be against, but they put a different name on it. Like half of the conservatives in the country can't even tell you what conservative means. Like ask the next conservative, what does conservative mean? Well, I don't know. It means to conserve the Constitution. Are they conserving the Constitution? I mean, if there was really multiple parties in government that was not working together, so they're at each other's faces fighting for their team, why is there not arrests and impeachments at all levels of government every single day in this country? I mean, we had senators and House members stand up and say, yes, I'm a socialist Democrat. The people are guaranteed a Republican form of government. Why wasn't those bitches impeached? They should have been impeached right there.
Exactly.
Why?
Yep. Exactly.
Where was the Republicans at? They're all working together, man. It becomes about lining my pockets, about getting rich. These $174,000 a year bartenders become multimillionaires, just about overnight, within a couple of years. How do they do that? Because they've legalized their own criminality. So you can't insider trade if your buddy knows that his company's getting ready to go downhill, and you have stock in that company. He calls you and says, "Hey, you better move your money." That's insider trading. Martha Stewart, insider trading. But when AOC does it, or Bernie Sanders does it, or whoever else does it, it's called being in session. Because you can't charge them with committing a crime while they're in session. They legalize their own criminality. It's over. I mean, when it comes to that, it's over. So you have to remove all money from government. They're not going to allow it to happen. They have the police, they have the local police, the county police, the state police, the National Guard, all federal agencies, inactive military, active military as barriers between you and stopping their money flow. You know what I mean? Like it's a losing game when you look at it like that. There's no way to win it at this point unless we can all move to one state. We can turn that state and then hopefully spread the message of liberty outward from that state, which comes with a lot of problems.
As psycho as these people are, I wouldn't put nothing past what they would do, though.
Oh, I don't disagree with you, man. But just like listen to what you just said. So we've watched these people burn cities to the ground over the last year, and the cops. We've seen video of the cops standing there with their arms crossed, watching them. But as soon as somebody tried to protect their property, what did those cops do? They ran over and arrested the person, or aided the fucking terrorist in doing what they were doing. But the right still supports these dudes because they've had it beat in their head for generations that these are your friends, these are the good guys, these guys are here to protect you. And it's not the truth, man. Throughout history, law enforcement has been responsible for every atrocity committed to mankind under a government. You know, whether it be under Stalin, Mao, under Hitler, law enforcement are the ones who did that to those people. But people have just been sold the illusion of freedom here and the lie of what is supposed to be. Like, people don't even know what their own restrictions on government are. They don't know what their own rights are. Ask somebody what's the most important amendment in the Bill of Rights. They're going to say, well, the Second Amendment because it protects the first. No, it's not. It's the Ninth Amendment. In my opinion, it would be the Ninth Amendment.
Without the first, you wouldn't be allowed to say that, though.
Right. With the Ninth Amendment, I can do whatever I want as long as I'm not violating your rights. I have the right to do whatever I choose as long as I'm not violating your rights. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with me being free to do absolutely whatever I want as long as it's not violating your rights?
I'm not familiar with the Ninth, but I'm looking at it.
I don't know it verbatim. I can't read it off verbatim to you. It just says because your rights are not enumerated in the Bill of Rights, that it doesn't mean they don't exist. Government can't dictate your rights, basically what it says.
The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people.
Right.
My rights are I could do any damn thing I want to do, but as long as I'm not causing harm to another person or stealing or destroying
property,
their property.
Right. Well, that would be causing harm, you know, and I get that. Exactly. Other people don't understand that, you know, like but we've made crimes out of shit that ain't even a crime, man. I mean, people get pulled over and fucked with today for flipping a cop off. You know what I mean? Like videotaping. You can be standing on a public sidewalk, videotaping a public space, and they want to mess with you. Like, they've taken that authority to a next level, and now they have, qualified immunity. Well, it's a job hazard. Okay, so if a cop gets qualified immunity, why don't we give qualified immunity to the 7-Eleven clerk? I mean, she might lose a $100 bill. It's a possibility because it's her job, and we don't want her to get fired because of that. So let's give her qualified immunity. What about the welder? I mean, the welder that builds the framework for these bridges. That bridge might break and might crack in 50 years, and cars fall and people die. Let's bar him from being sued because he put on a bunch of shitty welds. Like, where does it end? We've given government the power that people should have. Every power the government has today, the people should have that power. And we've given it to government, and all of it's through the policing force. You are ruled by or else's. Tell me one problem that you have with government. I've been challenging people for years for this shit. One problem that you have with government that doesn't involve a badge. Like, we're ruled by force and violence and threats of violence. You will pay your taxes or else. You will pull over or else.
Government ended up lobbying to all the bigwig companies. And now we got corporations up in there.
Right. The money.
It's all about money.
Right. And it wasn't in the beginning. In the beginning, the only politician that, the only quote unquote career politician that got paid was the president, because that was a full-time job. These other jobs were never meant to be full-time jobs. It was, you read the Constitution, it said the Congress has to meet one day a year. It's because it was supposed to be a burden to serve the people. It wasn't supposed to be a career path. And they've made it a career path that you can now get rich from, because you have exempted yourself from the very laws that you've placed on these people that should be null and void anyway, because they're unconstitutional on face, because you don't have the jurisdiction to do that. You know what I mean? Like, if we have to, there's so much shit. Like, where do you begin? How do you begin to tell people that, like, you look at the NFA, so the National Firearms Act, Congress created this law, and it's a national sweeping law. If the founders intended for the federal government to create all laws, it would be the Constitution. Excuse me?
It would have been put in the Constitution.
Well, there would be no states.
Yeah.
We would just be one huge state, and the federal government would rule over it. Right? But if you read the anti-federalist papers...
That's what they're shooting for. But it's going to be the whole world.
Right. I don't disagree with that at all, man.
One world government.
A lot of people don't see that, and I don't disagree with it. But to get to that, you have to first control the whole nation. And if you read the Anti-Federalist papers, throughout the whole Anti-Federalist papers, all those essays, they're worried about the federal government ruling over the states. Literally, over and over, it says it in the Anti-Federalist papers. I mean, it's not, verbatim, but that's what they're worried about. And what led to the Bill of Rights. But people are inherently stupid. They don't know what freedom is. They're not willing to protect that jewel. They're not willing to enforce the Constitution. And without enforcement, it's just words on parchment, and they do whatever the fuck they want. So we have to get the money out of it.
And a question that I got for you was, what do you think they're going? This whole jab is about. What do you think the effects is going to be when they go ahead and trigger it? Because they're definitely trying to shove it down your throat, give you money, give you beer, frickin' everything.
I don't disagree, man, but I don't know. I don't even know that it's something that can be triggered. But if you, there was a scientist. He was actually the first guy that said that the Wuhan flu had man-made properties in it, and the whole scientific community dismissed what he said and smeared this dude. He was a Nobel Peace Prize winning scientist. So a year later, what happens? They say, oh, it was leaked from a lab and it had man-made qualities to it. He states that because of the proteins the body creates because of this jab over a period of time of years, 2 or 3 to 5 years. What do you say, Christy? 2 to 3 years? I think I said 2 to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. That the proteins will wind up killing the people who took it.
Oh, 2.
2 years? 2 years. And like, look at what's going on right now. So we know somebody who was pregnant, got it 4 days later, miscarried. A buddy of mine, one of my subs, a good friend of mine, his wife has a friend who was pregnant, got it 4 days later, she died. There's a lot of births in October, November, December because the winter months people are in their home more, so therefore they're around their spouses more, therefore they have more sex inherently and then produce more kids.
The most popular birthday in America is October 5th because that's the exact amount of time it takes from New Year's.
Right. So So where's all these pregnant women at that have been locked in their house with their old man for the last year and a half? You don't see them. Why?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of weird shit going on. I don't think we'll know until it happens. All I can say is that when I look around, I'm not burying people because of this shit. I'm not buying the scamdemic. You do what you want to do. If you want to do that, more power to you. I'm going to sit my ass right over here and wait for whatever happens.
Yeah, my doctor keeps on pressing me to get it. And
yeah,
no.
Yeah. I like that.
And I just wonder what they're going to put in the variant. Because they're going to come out with another shot. Oh, you need another shot because just because you've been vaccinated, you still need to wear a mask. But this variant, there's something else you got to have. Right.
Well, really, I'm not trying to tell you to censor yourself because you haven't said nothing. But really watch how you word shit because I'll get a strike because of it. I've already had 2 strikes that are now dropped because of medical misinformation for questioning whether or not something exists or not. We're just questioning it. It was all I did, I think.
Right.
Who knows, man? Who knows what they're doing? Who knows what they're pulling? I mean, what kills me is not so much that they're trying to pull it off, but people are fucking buying into it. You know what I mean? Like,
that scares me.
Go by your local funeral home. You would think that there would be like tractor trailers, refrigerators, or reefer trucks sitting in the driveway because there's so many dead people. There's not. There's no more dead people than in any other time. Annually, the rate of deaths go up by about 3 to 5,000 in this country annually because of growth, obviously. And it hasn't went up. Last year, it didn't go up any more than it normally would. The common flu that they've been trying to find a cure for since 1933, flu diagnosis has dropped 98% last year. Why? How? What was the cure from flu? Was this other thing?
Reclassification.
Right. So
yeah, they just took the numbers from that and threw it on something else.
Well, no, they just renamed something. They used the media to instill fear in the people. They then caught this common thing that they catch every year. They then was told it was this other thing, and then are convinced to take this jab. Why?
That's
the big one.
That's taking the numbers from something else and putting it on something else.
Right. You're
and
right. I'm sorry.
reclassification.
Scary shit. I know that.
They're
Guys,
having a
we-
concert in New York, and so you have to be vaccinated to go to this concert. But everybody that did what they were supposed to, got vaccinated, now cannot go to this concert if they got the AstraZeneca vaccination instead of the rest of them.
I thought AstraZeneca was only approved in the EU.
It's whatever the one that didn't get approved in the by the FDA, but it's in New York, so you got a lot of people from Canada. It's like Billy Joel or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, so now they're openly letting businesses discriminate towards those with medical either disabilities or making you show your medical information, dude. Like, we're going down the path. We're right on Hitler's heels, man. People don't want to see it. They want to call it something else. Huh?
Show your papers.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I've been saying that for a year. You know what I've been dealing with the last year.
Yeah.
You know, not wear a mask. I'm exempt. Show me your papers. I ain't gonna show you my papers. Kick fucking rocks.
Well, hey, Freedom. I'm gonna have to get off here.
I am too, man. I am too, brother. We've been going out for 3 hours.
And now I know how this thing works, and we'll be able to do this some other time when I got something to really talk about.
Yeah, that's cool. We will, man. Chris, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being here, man.
All right, we'll talk to you later, bud. Stay
I'll
safe.
get a hold of y'all. All right. I'll get a hold of you, Chris, man. Thanks a lot, brother.
Yep. Later.
Talk to you later. Bye.